platform is independent, and we wanted to work with everyone across the spectrum. So folks are invited to share what they know, and the viewers makes their choice, and we ask the questions and we give the opportunity to answer.
This craziness, man, I do not care. Why am I so anti-establishment? Because of what I've seen the establishment do to people. That's why I cannot be pro-establishment.
Power is in the hands of the people. And it really did. What we all witnessed is the government, they knew that they're heading in the wrong direction. They knew Gambians are speaking in the same voice.
What law in the books that says the government has power to come out and go after folks' private citizens' properties and demolish them because somehow the government interest?
The only way that we can salvage our country is when everybody that gets their hand dirty. Don't sit there with your expertise and just to procrastinate everything that people say or pontificate, what everybody says or does. Let's get our hands dirty.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the people, for the people, by the people. Another edition. We'll be joined by Dr. Ceesay, and we apologize to our viewers. We had a bit of technical delay, but
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, we're welcome. Fatimos, we're back on live, and I told viewers we apologize for the delay due to some technical difficulties we experienced, but we're back and we're going to have the conversation as usual.
Yeah, Sariyang, I know. Puna Gaidal, something happened. It's coincidental. Started out with doctor having technical issues, and then all of a sudden, man, I still don't even have my internet back, so I'm using my phone. But again, we apologize immensely. Doctor, we've been working on this for so long. In the final minute, we're running into all these technical difficulties. But Doctor, again, it's good to have you back.
Thank you. It's good to be here once again.
Because you need to defeat the doctor. As smart the me is Dr. Anga, Peter Gomez, Mungi West Coast, Munga FM. I'm like, okay, what's up? What's going on?
I always love to come here. But timing the legi mode our jahaso today. Sunday evenings, that they always take and some political events, so that they coincide. But Fee is my home. I always like to come here and talk to the Gambian people, particularly in Diaspora.
Absolutely, because we are the outlet. We like to believe that you're the voice of the diaspora. At least that's what we want to believe.
You are the entry point. You are the entry point.
The entry point, exactly. So, Sariyang, I'll let you drive this one until my internet comes back. I'll let you at least start Alagumyo.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon to our listeners. Good afternoon to folks in the diaspora and in the Gambia and everywhere in the world. Today we have the Minister, Honorable Minister Dr. Ceesay, and we're going to have a good conversation. So my first question to you, Dr. Ceesay, is can you provide us an update on the youths that were arrested, and what is the latest, and what are the conditions laid forth?
Well, unfortunately, before I came to the studio, finding out exactly the latest update. What I know is that some of them will be charged for violating the Public Order Act, but also for unlawful assembly. Now, the conditions, I'm not very sure about that. I cannot go into that. But what I know is that some of them will be charged for violating the Public Order Act, but also for unlawful assembly.
Okay. Thank you very much. So Doctor, just to kind of dissect into the pending charges that you alluded to, so what seems to be the problem? And I think if we don't know the problem for the first time, we would not be able to, you know, diagnose what really happened. But what was the cause of this allegedly, you know, unlawful assembly, so per se? What was
Well,
the
that
reason?
question is best suited for those who broke the law. The country is a country of laws, and we cannot be having a country where lawlessness will thrive. We have a young democracy to nurture, we have a democracy to consolidate, and we have peace to maintain and preserve. We cannot have people in this country who every minute want to break the law because of things that we can deal with through engagement. Now, clearly, they had no permit to converge, they had no permit to assemble, and they took the law into their own hands and said they would they would converge with or without a permit. And the law has to take its course. We have to protect lives and property. That is the purpose of the police. So I think the causes should be, the question should be asked to them, those who broke the law. For us as a government, our primary responsibility is to protect lives and property and to ensure the rule of law. And in exercise of that, the police would have to do their job.
Okay, thank you. Musa, go ahead.
Yeah, Doctor, my first question is, I don't know whether you can, I can't even see myself. So I'm just assuming that you can hear me. I remember when you first came here, this was just when you became the Minister of Information. And my question is, since you became the minister, I mean, all of us, they have witnessed that the ministry has changed to some extent. Can you kind of walk us through what you believe to be, I mean, the changes that you brought to the ministry and some of the challenges?
Well, I think I can break these changes into 4 different categories. The first is the instruments, the governance instruments. The ministry is a very critical ministry. It is the link between the public and the government insofar as information sharing is concerned. So when we came to office, we realized that we need to come up with certain reforms, which we call the new media reforms. And part of these reforms, we had categorized them into 3 different categories. One has to do with the governance instruments. For example, we are working on a communications policy and strategy, and implementation strategy. Currently, there is no communications policy in government. What that means is that how do government agencies communicate with each other? But how do also, what policies also dictate how government communicates with the public? How do you do crisis communications, for example? If there's a crisis, how do you communicate with the public? So we are working on that policy right now, but also with how to implement it in terms of the communication strategy. We're also working on another document, which is very important, which is a national information classifications policy. Currently, there is none. I mean, we have the ATI law, which says that every government can get access to information if they so wish, if they follow what the law says, what the act is, by applying and also requesting from the relevant authority. But there is no classification which says that which information is public information, which one is confidential, which is restrictive, and so on and so forth, which is secretive, and so on and so forth. So we are working on that policy as well to make sure that we have a policy in place which classifies information into public information, but also confidential, restrictive, or secretive information. Also, data protection bill is also ongoing. We are almost done with that. It will be passed in September at the National Assembly. You know, there's a transition from the physical space to now we're more engaged in the digital space. And when we engage in digital, we leave a lot of footprint in terms of data, personal data. So we're working on that law, which is also almost done as well. And then we are also working on other initiatives like the Mansakunda, where we bring ministers every fortnight to interface with the public. We're also working on our press conferences. We have what they call the Sunyere, where we go to the provinces in Bantabas and interface with the public. We bring ministers as well to discuss what's happening in their sectors, but also ministers listen to the aspirations and concerns of citizens. We're also working on a new platform, which we call the Disinformation and Misinformation platform. It's an AI-driven platform, which does real-time, detects fake news and also provides the accurate news. We are working on that platform as well. Then we have a lot of things going on. So and also development as well. We are trying to modernize GRTS by making sure they go digital, build new studios, but also reposition Department of Information Services, because we recruit and train and deploy information officers to every ministry. That is why I see that all ministries now, their websites are fully functional, their Facebook pages are functional, being updated, because we have information officers deployed there. So we have a lot of work to do. Our main mandate is to make sure that we engage in proactive disclosure, to ensure that the public gets information that is accurate, authentic, timely, and relevant. They don't have to ask for it. And that is our wish. We want to position the ministry as the go-to place for information. That whatever information comes out to the public, if the ministry did not really endorse it or confirm it or validate it, people should be skeptical about it, because that is our mandate. That is why the ministry exists, to make sure that the public gets right to information. And access to information is in the Constitution. It's guaranteed by the Constitution. It's also human rights. It's guaranteed by human rights as well. So the role that doctors and nurses play to provide healthcare services, teachers play to provide educational services, there's a role we play as a ministry to provide information services to the public, particularly public information.
Yeah, thank you, Doc. So unfortunately, Musa has been having internet issues, so he dropped off. It's just you and me today, brother.
Where's Coach?
Maybe Coach will call in. Coach will call in. So who knows? He's working today, but he will call in. But Doctor, I wanted to take on this conversation further, because it seems like it's a hot button issue. And I think sometimes to have a good conversation, at least to enlighten citizens, especially hot button issues. And I'm going to press on these protests for a little bit. And you said you mentioned about unlawful assembly. And I wanted to quote the Constitution. And I want you to kind of guide me through, and that way we can have an effective conversation here. So the 1997 Constitution, Section 25, subsection 1D, guaranteed the right to peaceful assembly and demonstration without arms. The Public Order Act, Section 5, only requires a permit if it's a precision on a public road or involves a loudspeaker. So what happened at Pura, the young folks said they have a concern. They wanted to go out there and tender their petition. Do you think that requires a permit or a violation of the law?
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, Sarian, it's for the courts now to decide that. I think we can argue on this. On a point of law, we are not lawyers, we are not legal luminaries. The Supreme Court has made a determination on this. I believe I've read some piece not long ago about that, concerning Lawyer Dabo and others. What is important that which I can confirm is that it is our view as a government that they've breached the peace. They've violated the law on peaceful assembly, and government will charge them. Now it's for the courts now to decide that. We can argue here till tomorrow whether it is lawful as what the Public Order Act says, what the Constitution says. We can argue about these things, but we are not the lawyers here. We're not the judges here. As a government, we need to do everything possible to protect life and property, and to make sure there is rule of law, and to make sure people follow the law, and that people don't just wake up every morning and want to violate the law. And if that happens, we have a responsibility to make sure that we preserve the peace. So we will charge them in accordance with the law. It is now for the courts to decide whether what they did was outside of the law or not.
Okay. All right. So Doctor, that kind of takes me into the other sector, which is the security sector reform. And that is a big part of what happened on Friday, because we've seen a pass-through from de-escalation to escalation. And that is premeditated by the behavior of some security personnel. And I want to ask you this. What are the key components, or per se, you talked, I think one of the sectors you talk about security sector reform. What are the key factors or components of a security sector reform?
Well, one of the key components is to make sure that the security is obedient to civilian control, because they have to understand that they're operating within a democratic framework but also to make them more professional as well. And that is very important. And I think we've seen that to build their capacities. I think our security has morphed into a more professional security outfit now compared to before. And we are now seeing that they are now subservient to civilian control as expected in a democratic setup. So we are very pleased with the manner in which the security sector reform is going. Like we say, it is not a quick fix. We don't expect that things that has been rotten for 22 years to be fixed within 8 years. It's a process. We've changed so many legal instruments. We've come up with new national security laws, the new defense bill. We've come up with a lot of legal instruments to make sure that we modernize and professionalize our security agencies. But also we've taken a lot of steps to train them, but also to equip them with the right tools that they need to operate in a civilian or democratic setup. Now, what we saw on Friday, as you alluded to, was it Friday or Saturday, I can't remember, is part of their job. It's an operational issue. Now, as a government, we work more on policy. The police do operational work, and when we give them job to do, we must trust that they'll do that job based on correct judgment. So I think the focus should not be on the behavior of the security, which I think was spot on. I didn't see them behave in any manner outside of the law. They were well restrained. If you remember the first protest that they did, the last one where they got the permit at Westfield, I mean, they were provoking the police to the extent that they violated the conditions of the permit that were given to them, and they stayed beyond the time given to them. They even went beyond the parameters of what was allowed. So what is important here is that we need to talk to our young people to understand that the country is a country of laws and that the government is open for engagement. Currently, the Gala folk, the petitions they've left, we are dealing with it. We'll engage them. We are working on responses to them, and we are to engage them. So I think that is important, but we cannot have a country where every minute people want to come and occupy Westfield, occupy Puira, occupy this. The country doesn't work like that. No, even in the US, it doesn't work like that. So we need to understand that in a democracy, we are ready for engagement. Protests are always a last resort. And when young people go out to protest, they most want to achieve something from that protest.
All right, thank you. Musa, you want to go ahead? You asked a question.
Yeah, Doctor, today I'm more lulu. I'm not really functioning well. But Doctor, my question is, we were here going all the way back to 2016. There is no doubt that the country is at a better place. There's absolutely no doubt that there's a semblance of democracy. But like every other country, especially looking at our sub-region, you can embrace democracy today, and before you know it, that democracy could be eroded. What would you consider to be the threats to our fragile or evolving democracy? What would you consider to be the threats that are out there? And what is the role of government to look out for those threats?
Well, I think we've done a lot of work since 2016 as a government in our drive to consolidate our democracy. We've come up with so many laws. For example, the ATI law, the anti-corruption law, and the issue of the perception of corruption in the country is one of the threats. You are right. A lot of people think that government is not doing much to fight corruption. That is why most of these protests are linked to that. But that is far from the truth. What this government has done to bring in the measures to fight corruption, no government has done it before. And we can name all these things that we've done as measures to fight corruption in this country. That is why when people talk about the Gala protesters, I don't see them as enemies or as we don't stand on in convergent points. You know, they're supporting us as a government. Our wish is to fight corruption. We know it's a problem. And I think the Gala protesters also support us in that drive. That is why we see them as partners, not as enemies. So for us as a government, we are doing everything we can to make sure that we provide the basic services for the people. We make sure that we create a level playing field for the private sector to thrive so that they can provide employment, because young people have to be employed. Remember, our demographic reality is that the majority of our people are young people and they want jobs. And we must give them hope and opportunities to stay in this country. Now, the other issue has to do with the free press. People need to speak their mind as well. People need to free to speak their mind and say what they want to say without facing any implications for speaking their mind. I think these are all important for maintaining the peace. Sometimes these are the small things that we underestimate in preserving the peace, but these are the things that we want to promote. free press, for people to make sure that they can elect their officials in a very transparent, fair manner, but also making sure that young people are engaged and have a job to do. We provide basic services like electricity today. When President Barrow came to power, about 50-something% of the country had access to electricity. Now we are 70-something%, and we are heading towards universal access for the end of 2026. Water as well, we've expanded water, access to water across the country. We've built roads in many parts of the country. So these are the services, basic services that people need, because people need to see that government is responding to their needs. And that is what is important. If we do these things, we'll maintain the peace. But remember also, the other thing, we have young people in this country who we must engage, because the young people can play, they're like a double-edged sword. They can be constructive citizens who can help in building the country, but also they can be destructive if they're not engaged properly. And that's what we are trying to do, engage young people. That is why when we see them always go for the protest without engagement, we feel disappointed. We want them to engage us. And we are ready to and engage them whenever they have issues. Come on, let's engage and discuss these issues. No government is perfect in the world, particularly a government in transition from autocracy to democracy, within a very hostile global environment, with COVID just finishing, with the 2 wars happening in the world, with so many things happening around the world. So I think it's important for us to understand that the country belongs to all of us. We are not enemies with the government. Citizens are not enemies with the government. We all have the same goal, to build this country. Now, how we do it can differ. So I think engagement is the key if we want to really maintain the peace in this country.
So Doctor, pushing a little bit about these threats to our democracy, like you and like a whole host of people living in the diaspora at home, some pay the ultimate price. And there's no doubt that Gambia is at a better place. But Doctor, if there is one thing looking at the sub-region, one of the fundamental threats to evolving democracy is what I would call the self-perpetuation, and that is the term limit. Show me whether you're talking about Mali, Burkina Faso, and of course, just looking at the poll that just came out, there is a reason Gambians are saying, almost 58%, saying that President Barrow should not run. Back in 2016, if there was one fundamental issue for the change, is to bring an end to self-perpetuation. Some would say that
Musa,
yeah.
sorry. So Musa, I've seen on very unpleasant comments on the commentary.
I can't delete. That's why
no, hold on. I'm not telling you to delete anything. I'm just trying to talk to our viewers. If someone comes in here, we need to accord them with utmost respect. You can challenge someone, but you cannot insult people. Everyone has the right to associate themselves with whoever they want to. I want to make sure let's be nice and let's be respectful to people. They take time out of their busy schedule to have a conversation. You can disagree without being disagreeable. I've seen comments, they are not so pleasant. And I think everyone deserves respect, please. Thank you.
And that is very unfortunate. I haven't really seen it. And we try to bring people here every Sunday. I'm telling you, and like we said in the past, you guys are also part of this program. But if you sabotage it or be uncivil or disrespectful, that doesn't help the program. Where is your tolerance level? But anyway, Doc, going back to the question, most people believe, really, I mean, this self-perpetuation, President Barrow was supposed to be there 3 years, and then he went to 5 years, and then 10 years. And most Gambians are saying that, just looking at the poll that just came out, that the man shouldn't run. Now, constitutionally, constitutionally, he has every right to run. But someone can look at this and say, these are the things that are the real threats to our evolving democracy. Because when Gambians do not see any other way to bring about change peacefully, they might resort to other means. It may send the wrong message to institutions. Doc, don't you consider that as a threat to our democracy?
No, I wouldn't. The data is not telling us that. Empirical evidence is not telling us that. Let's look at a few countries as an example. Let's look at Botswana as an example, and Mauritius as an example. They've been having what we call dominant party systems since independence. Botswana just lost elections this year. the ruling party that was in power since independence. And they've been a very thriving multi-party democracy. Under Sarada Jawara, for 30 years, Gambia was seen as one of the most thriving multi-party democracies in the continent, together with Botswana and Mauritius, even though we had a dominant party system. Now, but also flip it. You see, what the only threat to our democracy and to our peace, Musa, is the lack of basic services for the citizens, and also depriving them of their basic rights. Let's look at the Emirati countries as well. They are not unstable. They are purely stable countries but they're not democratic. Now, name me one country also, countries in Africa that has transformed and lifted their people out of poverty within a short period of time just because of they were forced to change power. We have a constitutional country which doesn't have a term limit, and President Barrow has a right to contest in 2026.
Absolutely.
Yes, let us judge President Barrow by what he provides to the people, his mandate, the deliverables, not the term limits. For me, that is not important for me, and that is the key. So that is not a threat to our democracy. It's not a threat to our peace. What is a threat is that depriving people of their rights, but also not giving them basic services that they need, like water, electricity, roads, education, healthcare. For me, that is what is important. And the survey you are talking about, it just confirms and validates what we've all been saying, that there is no credible opposition. Even though 58% says that they want him to run again, but when asked who do you think will win, they still think President Barrow will win. So I mean, if people really think he shouldn't run, they wouldn't now give him their votes to run. But today, if elections were held today, just let me finish. If we had elections today in the Gambia, President Barrow is still going to win, no matter what the perception is about whether he should run for third term or not.
Okay, Doctor, but let's go back. You talking about if elections were to be held, President Barrow will still win. But if you really look at the polling data, 58% they do not want him to run. 60% said they will not vote for him. 60%. I mean, that's a lot. Notwithstanding everything that you have said, everything that he has done as an incumbent. Yes, Barrow the builder. Yes, Barrow has done to health what Barrow has done. People know all that. They seriously know all that information, but still 60% are saying they will not vote for him. And another point that I want you to address, the threat to democracy. I still believe there's one thing that I will agree with you. I mean, lack of income distribution when people are unemployed, that could be a huge threat to democracy. I still do believe that term limits and the absence of people self-perpetuating themselves could still be. I'm not convinced with your answer. But another thing is tribalism. When politicians continue to exploit our differences, Doctor, don't you think that could be a threat to democracy? Looking at, judging from Sehumbalo's pronouncements last week, judging from some of these other tribal people working hard to exploit the tribal differences, don't you agree that that could be a threat to our democracy?
Well, I think these are phases that we have to go through. And I think we are mature enough as citizens of this country, as Gambians, not to pay attention and not to give currency to people who want to use the tribal cards. Gambians are not stupid anymore. We're not stupid. And that we wouldn't allow people to divide us across tribal lines. And I don't see tribalism it will not thrive. It will not succeed in this country because we are all related, Musa Jeng.
Absolutely.
We've intermarried. Gambia is also known as the melting pot of West Africa. So for me, when people use the tribal card, they're wasting their time. Gambians wouldn't listen to it. It wouldn't work. So they're just wasting their time. Yes, we can condemn some rhetorics that have tribal connotations. But for me, I don't think that is really a threat to because Gambians know what we want. We know what we are doing. And I don't think it will really bring any danger to this country. For me, I think the most dangerous aspects that I see as a threat is a lack of basic services for our people, lack of jobs for our young people, lack of engagement, lack of water, electricity. For me, those are and also the income disparities as well. For me, those are the issues. Those are the that have destroyed many countries because what happens is that even in countries where today there is a tribal war, is how the media frames it. No, these tribes have been living side by side for hundreds of years. They never went to war. Why are they going to war now? It has to do with resources. Once we're able to redistribute our resources in line with the principles of fairness and solidarity, Believe me, Musa, we will not have those kind of issues in this country. For us, that is the issue, that is the policy we have as a government to ensure that we decentralize and equitably distribute our resources across gender, across generation, across region, across religion, so that everybody who is in the Gambia lives in dignity and has the opportunity to fulfill your full potential. That is our policy as a government. And for us, that is what can make our democracy thrive. And for us, that is what can make us live in long-term peace and stability.
Go ahead, Brother Marr.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, I want to dial on the component of security sector reform. I know you mentioned the democratic civilian control, but there's another component to it too, which is transparency and accountability. And this is more in line with measures that we take to hold our security personnel accountable, and also as well as train them to be professional in terms of rule of law and delivering to the public or to the citizens. Where do you think we are in this aspect or in that framework of a security sector reform?
Well, I think we've gone a long way in that process. I think we've done a lot of training for our security officers today. In fact, today the police are working on towards building a new law enforcement academy, which will enhance the training of law enforcement officers. When it comes to transparency today, we all know what's happening today. As long as it's not highly confidential issues, people report what's happening within the army. Recently, I saw a press release from the army where they relieved so many, I think about 6 or 7 or 8 military officers from their services, I think from the Navy, for doing things that are not in line with what is expected of them as part of their job. So today, I think, to be honest, everybody knows that the army, in the entire law enforcement apparatus, entire security apparatus, is more transparent today. It's more accountable to not only to the public, but also to the government as well. But also today we are training them to be more professional. With our donor partners across the globe are providing a lot of training for our security officials to be more professional, and we are seeing that. We are seeing it in their actions, but also when they normally apply their jobs in the streets.
Okay, thank you. But also I want to ask you in terms of effective security and justice delivery, which is also a component of security sector reform. Maybe reforming and strengthening the capacity of security actors such as the police, the military, and the intelligence to deliver services that are effective. That goes into respecting the rights of citizens and working in hand with the citizens. Doctor, I must state, on Friday, what I saw, I'm very, very concerned about that. And how would you square that in terms of the security personnel acting professionally in lines of the security sector reforms?
Well, I think, like I said, it's an operational issue. The police will have to act in a manner that is proportional to the situation, and I think that is what they are doing. I didn't see anything beyond or outside of the framework of the law on that day. I think they were just doing their operational duties, and they did the arrests, and that's it. Nobody's rights were violated. You cannot tell me that somebody was beaten or somebody was malhandled or maltreated. I didn't see it. They came and they did what they're supposed to do by arresting people who are breaking the law.
Well, I just want to make sure you know that Killer A said he was manhandled. 2 other folks said when they were in a pickup truck, their handcuffs were squeezed and it was very uncomfortable. Visually, there's a video out there.
They said it, but does it mean that that's what has happened?
No. Just give me a second. I'll give you opportunity to respond. Okay.
Yes.
This is somewhere I think I have credibility to speak to. Understand, based on my background. I want this is de-escalation than escalation. We've seen physically Superintendent Sar hold Killer A's and pushing. Superintendent Sar physically put his hands on Yusuf Taylor and push him, and I believe some other guy. That's not how you de-escalate, and that is not an operational issue. Doc, what I'm trying to say is, if Pura folks came out, because these folks are saying the charges are unsustainable, we cannot sustain that. It's an economic issue. What would it take the head of Pura? I'm saying unsolicited advice to the government. The head of Pura comes out there and receive their petition, educate them what the challenges are, because they are a regulatory body, right?
Let me correct you here, Sarian. I don't think the protesters, their initial approach was not to deliver a petition. The approach was to occupy Pura. That was the message across everywhere. To occupy and not to deliver a petition. These are two different things. The approach was, we are going to occupy Pura. And Pura is a public building, and we cannot allow people to go and occupy Pura. The police have to do their job.
Did they occupy Pura then on Friday?
But do we have to allow them to do it before we do our job? The police cannot wait for that to happen. They'll have to take preventive measures. We are public officials working at Pura. So if the initial idea was seek a permit to say we are going to Pura to deliver a petition, we'll provide that for them, and we'll make sure that they are secure to do that. But the approach was, we are going to occupy Pura. I think some of our youths are misguided, and they need to be guided, because sometimes I don't know how they really, who advises them or how they think, but sometimes it's not worth it. When the Gala protesters sought for permit, it was given to them. They were guided. They did their protest. They delivered their petitions in a very civilized and very peaceful manner. We cannot wake up every morning and say, today we are going to occupy Pura. Tomorrow, why will you occupy National Assembly after they want to occupy State House? We cannot allow that to happen in this country.
Okay. Musa, go ahead. Go ahead.
Doctor,
Go ahead.
another threat to our democracy would be considered corruption. You did talk about the income disparity. People look at it, Dr. Ceesay, Munge Bahal Nen, and then you have a 12-year-old, she can't be unemployed. And there's a perception out there that the only way that you can do good or do well in the Gambia, I mean, if you engage in corruption, at least that's what people believe. And then when you listen to a Dr. Ceesay or you listen to the president himself, and usually they started out by basically saying, well, you know, corruption, you can find it everywhere. You can find it in the US. I mean, this is something that is global. People listen to that and they're like, okay, these people are kind of giving us excuses. Instead of a Dr. Ceesay or the president coming out, basically singing the same song, saying that as far as I'm concerned, under my leadership, this is what I will do to fight corruption. Not only rhetorically. I'm sorry?
That is what we are doing. We are not condoning corruption. We are condemning it in the strongest possible terms. And we made it clear that we have a very strong commitment to fight corruption in this country, and nobody is a sacred cow. We've said that, the president has said that on so numerous occasions. That is why all the measures we've taken to enhance and strengthen the powers of the National Audit Office and give them the latitude and the power to go after any MDA. In fact, most of the audit reports, like the GIA ones, the IEC ones, were triggered by government. Triggered by government. And we've also let the institutions, oversight institutions, operate independently. That is the courts, the National Assembly. They can call any minister. We've supported inquiries, like for the current inquiry on the sale of Janneh assets, the inquiry on the so-called Petroleum whatever saga, and we are currently reviewing the report by the National Assembly. Are going to respond appropriately. We've also modernized our laws, the procurement laws, to make sure that we've also engaged in so many public finance management reforms as well. We've also updated the Central Bank Act. So we are doing everything possible. We've digitized today. That is why GRA is bringing $2.6 to $2.7 billion every month. And that money goes to providing service for the people, building roads, bringing water, electricity. So we are equally concerned about what is happening. But remember, under Janneh, the institutions that were supposed to expose and fight corruption. We're not non-existent. Now
Right.
they're existing. They've all been activated now. But I can tell you that our position as a government is we want to fight corruption, we condemn it, and we are taking every measure to make sure that we protect public finances. And that is what we are doing. That is why we are taking measures. That is why today, all the audit reports that have suspicions of fraud and corruption were taken to the IGP for investigations, further transmitted to the AG for review, advice, but also for potential prosecution. All this is happening at the same time. So why can we fault us that we're not doing anything about it? But ours stops at that prosecution. It is for the courts now to do conviction. We cannot influence the courts because we live in a country where there is democracy. The three arms of government, every arm is independent. So what we are doing it. We take administrative measures. We indict people. We tell them to go home and wait until investigation started. We've done that. We prosecute. But now it is for the courts now to decide. And sometimes when cases go to AG chambers for review and advice, we realize that it's not watertight. The charges don't correspond to the evidence. So if we prosecute that, then okay, so we take it back. So sometimes there's this delay.
Right.
We understand that, but it is part of the process because you need to, you don't want to rush a case to the court.
Absolutely.
And then the court sends it out. We have no control over the courts, but we are doing everything possible to make sure that anybody who is found wanting in misappropriating public funds, you are punished. And that is our position. Our position has never been because it happens elsewhere. So we are not condoning it, we are condemning it, and we are not accepting it, and we are taking every measure possible to protect public finances as a government.
So, Doctor, I mean, and again, this is what I'm talking about. When you were talking about the petroleum saga, you call it the so-called petroleum saga. I mean,
Yes.
and when somebody listens to, a characterization like that, I mean, they begin to question that, are these people really serious? And again, you can go back. People would say, I'm sorry?
Yeah, no, that's the reason why I said that, because the petroleum saga, it wasn't even a scandal. The report is out there. I mean, some of the things that they said tax was paid. Some of them said that it was bad fuel, while the evidence was bad. So some of these, that particular petroleum issue was unfortunate, but I think that the manner in which it was portrayed in the press and the media, really, it wasn't the case. That is why I said it's so-called, because to be honest, we did not see any wrongdoing in that particular scenario.
And there's also a reason, because people know that Gambia, without a doubt, there's a culture of corruption, not necessarily just the government, but the entire society. I mean, people would kind of, basically, that's this culture of corruption. We all participate in it in one way or another. And then if you have a government that says that I am committed to fight corruption, then we said, okay, we went to the Janneh Commission. People were found to be wanting individuals that sooner or later, President Barrow was able to kind of balal nalen and then brought them inside to be part of his government. What does that tell people? People have this perception they are not serious. And when everything is said and done, when it gets to implementing it, for political reasons, they will look the other way. So
I disagree with that. I disagree.
Okay, where do you disagree? Go back to the Janneh Commissions, for instance.
Commission.
Okay, let me give you examples.
Yes.
Individuals.
Yes.
Janneh Commission. I have nothing against these people. The guy who is running Pura today was found to be guilty by the Janneh Commission. Degala or Fenla. This is not ancient history. We all witnessed that. Now he's the guy running Pura. What message are you?
Adversely mentioned.
Well, I mean, Doctor, we can play semantics. When everything is said and done, he participated to robbing of this country during the Jammeh era. Lolu moy dega. Now, you look at Sabali, for instance. This is another person that was found to be, you can call it adversely mentioned, and then now he's the darling of this government. Again, what I'm saying is people do not believe when it comes to implementing, someone does something wrong, found guilty for corruption, for political reasons, you guys will look the other way. So when you go on Coffee Time and you talked about, well, we have these cases, it's in the AG chambers, people are skeptical. When everything is said and done, these people will look the other way.
I think people who say that are unfair.
Mm-hmm.
You have a Janneh Commission. The commission is not only to identify people who took part and participated in helping Jammeh loot the state.
Correct.
But the most important thing is to look at the failings, which institutions fail, which reforms are to be done. Let's look at the broader picture. Let's forget about individuals. And some of these, and the Janneh Commission recommended, were all accepted by government, and these reforms are being done to make sure that we protect our public finances so that nobody else can loot our public finances. That is the bigger picture. That there was a system in place.
Right.
Institutions failed because they are weak or they eroded,
right.
and because that our public finances were looted. The Janneh Commission is to come and rectify and come up with measures, robust measures, to prevent another government from looting and mismanaging our public finances. And that reforms must be done. We did all those reforms. Now, if one or two people were adversely mentioned and were punished, by the way, because what happened? No, they were punished. Of course, because what I'm saying, let's flip it and go to the courts. If you go to a court and you are sentenced to prison of 5 years and you start serving your time, and the president has the prerogative to pardon you, and you've served your time. Now, if these individuals, I'm coming, let me finish. If these individuals were banned from working and they started serving that time, and the president, from using his prerogative, being merciful, pardons them, no law is broken. But the most important thing is that this will learn from this experience, but also government now has taken measures to do the necessary reforms that can prevent another government from looting public assets.
Doctor, this is why people are really very skeptical. No, Bilal, I just want to follow up because, I mean, look, I hear you loud and clear. But you cannot tell me that the president was just being merciful, being a nice man. That's why somebody like, what's his name? I mean, the Director General of Pura, just out of the blue. And this is the guy that enabled
like I said, let us not individualize it.
But you know, if we don't, then we don't see it. Really, we can all talk about, we can all talk around platitudes and generalities, but it doesn't address. It doesn't address the problem.
The bigger picture is the Janneh Commission has done a job and came up with a recommendation that will prevent another government from looting public assets, broad daylight. Is that true or not? Is that true or false?
That is true.
Exactly. That is the most important component of it. Now, going forward, no government, no individual can loot public assets due to recommendations derived from the Janneh Commission. And for this, now, when it comes to individual cases of pardoning, serving that, those ones are, yes, we can discuss them. But for me, those are not the most important issues. The most important issues are that the Janneh Commission looked at and did a comprehensive study of what happened under Jammeh in terms of public finance management. They saw gaps and failings. They came up with recommendations to avoid such gaps and failings from occurring again. And we implemented and did those reforms. That is the most important issue now. Now, if certain individuals were named and later pardoned by the president, that is the prerogative of the president.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Sarian.
And that doesn't in any way mean that he doesn't have a commitment to fight corruption. No. The president is committed to fighting corruption, and everybody knows that.
You're sounding like Trump. Everybody knows that. That's not necessarily the case.
Thank you, Dr. Ceesay. Dr. Ceesay, listening to you in terms of the last segment with Musa, in terms of corruption, and your reference of saying so-called, oil saga. It kind of makes it sound it's mundane in every aspect. And the reason I ask you about security sector reforms and all that, and particularly transparency and accountability, it feeds into building an institution. This involves parliamentary inquiries, justice reforms, and giving them the capacity to act upon, to strengthen what we've built upon. Now, listening to you and saying the president has prerogative to pardon anyone, Doctor, I'm just asking you, is that what we want? I mean, folks do stuff. I mean, Jammeh sent someone to bankroll 2 point something billion from our central bank, and by every indication, the commission, which was set up by the president, approved by parliament, found this individual culpable of wrongdoing. Now we're going behind the scene, we pardoned them, and somehow we're saying we're serious about fighting corruption, implementing reforms. What are the data points that we can show that these things were very effective in combating these desirable, characteristics? Because I think one of the components, the biggest threat to our democracy right now is corruption, Doctor. And I'm asking,
but sorry,
yes,
is it possible now, as it was under Janneh, for the president to send people to the central bank with bags and to pick money from the central bank or at odd hours? Is it possible now?
Well, it's not, but people are missing. Every day we hear scandals. When
was the last time you heard a scandal in this country?
Oh, not long ago.
What happened with the public finance? What happened with our public finances? When was the last time? We've done a lot of reforms.
No. Besides what?
What I'm saying is that when was the last time you've heard a scandal concerning our public finances in this country?
Oh, all the time.
When was the last time? Give me an example.
Oh, there was the oil scandal per se. There was a parliamentary inquiry.
The oil wasn't a scandal. That's all I'm telling you. I'm not diminishing its significance. I'm not. If it's subject to a parliamentary inquiry, it's important, but it was not a scandal. What made it a scandal? What component of it was it? Why was it a scandal? Sometimes we run away with words.
No. Well, you asked me what makes it a scandal.
Was it a scandal?
Why was it not a scandal?
But it was not a scandal. What made it a scandal?
What was in that scandal?
What made it a scandal?
Oh, the scandal is someone. You mentioned here, they said taxes were not paid. They alleged taxes were not. No, but you asked me a question. Let me answer now.
Yeah, all right, go on. Yeah, go on.
Right? Okay, so you said they said taxes were not paid. You said taxes were paid.
Yes.
Where is the evidence that taxes were paid?
I'll tell you the evidence now. Do you give me a chance to tell you the evidence?
Okay, yeah, no problem.
When oil traders sell oil at the international market, they don't pay taxes. They are international traders. The taxes are paid at the pump. As long as that fuel was sold in our pumps, taxes were paid. That's why the taxes were paid. Simple as that. The taxes were paid. Any oil that comes to this country, international traders who bring it don't pay taxes because Mandina Bar, where they dump it, is seen as international jurisdiction. Taxes are not paid there. Taxes are paid at the pump. So every fuel that is sold in the Gambia pay tax. And the MNOs collect tax, the OMCs collect tax on behalf of government and give it to government. So taxes were paid. It's as simple as that. So why is this scandal here? If you tell me that there are some regulatory gaps here and there, we accept that. And these are some of the weaknesses in the system that direct inquiry can now help us strengthen and tighten because due to the recommendations. But you cannot call something a scandal because somebody else calls it. There was no scandal there. Taxes were paid. What else? And some people call it Russian oil. Who say it was Russian oil, in fact? There was no evidence it was from Russia. In fact, it wasn't from Russia in the first place. There is no evidence. The evidence shows it's not from Russia. So sometimes people come up with the word.
But where is the evidence that shows that the oil is not from Russia, Doctor?
Evidence is there.
Where is it? Can you explain to the
viewers?
The
other thing is that the oil is not from Russia. It's not from Russia.
Where is it from then? And what are the channels or processes that were followed to ensure that it gets to the consumers?
What I'm saying is that if you make an allegation, you must prove. He who asserts must prove. If you say it's from Russia, bring the evidence from Russia. But it's not from Russia.
I am not making any allegation.
I'm not you. I'm
having a conversation because this platform is for.
No. What I'm saying is that
yes.
You never said that. The people who are making those allegations, Russian oil scandal. In the first place, the oil is not from Russia. That I can guarantee you, it's not from Russia.
So
that is the fact.
So
the second fact is that taxes were paid. No oil is sold in this country without tax because taxes are paid at the pump.
Okay.
Not at the international waters where they are not paid there. International traders don't pay tax. Now the companies the companies like the OMCs, the jar oils, and they pay corporate tax at the end of the year. They have to pay their corporate taxes. But any fuel sold in this country per liter, tax is paid, and taxes were paid.
Okay, fair enough, Doctor. But I think there are two components here that we are mixing. If citizens, I mean, this is all part of reforms. We have to set up transparency, and whistleblowers are free to come forward and make allegations. It's incumbent upon the government, not the citizens. The citizen can make any allegations. It's the government who needs to come in there and debunk those allegations. The question is, if the oil is not coming from Russia, now where is it coming from then?
What I can tell you is that I cannot tell you exactly which country it's from, but I can confirm it's not from Russia. That I can confirm to you. It's not from Russia.
Okay, sounds good. Fair.
Now let's assume, Sadang, for the sake of assumption, and I'm not saying this just to confirm it's from Russia. Let's assume it's from Russia. Why is the wrongdoing there? What makes that a scandal?
No, it's not about coming from Russia, but whether the protocols and the processes are followed.
Yes, of course.
In the spirit of transparency, and more importantly, whether those benefits went to the citizens of the Gambia or it was shared among few people to the detriment and the good order of the masses. That's one question. Yes. The
oil industry is a private sector-led industry. Gambia government does not buy well. Private sector engages in this business. Musa has his oil. He brings it to Gambia as an international trader. While when he brings it, Musa doesn't pay tax for that because Musa is an international trader. Musa sells it to Ismaila, who is a Gambian OMC in the Gambia. I sell it on behalf of government in the pumps. I have to pay corporate tax. But when I say in the pumps, I collect the tax for government. If you look at the fuel pricing structure, that's where all the taxes are. That's how it works. Now, people who are saying it's from Russia, so what? It's from Russia. I'm not saying it's from Russia. I'm not conceding that. I know it's not from Russia. I can confirm that. But let's say it's from Russia. Does that make it a scandal? No, it's not a scandal.
No. I don't. Musa, you gotta give me a little bit. That way we can have a conversation. I think the misconception is not where the oil originates from. I mean, if we're saying they are alleging, the question here is, Doctor, whether the processes were followed, and more importantly, as I said, yes, there are businesses that are thriving. You know that, I know that. They thrive from Janneh government to this current government. They are there, but that's what a free market is all about. We're not saying, but what we are saying is they cannot continue over a sustained period of time to benefit and pocket their to put those premium in their pocket at the detriment when it needs to benefit the masses. I think that's where the concern comes in. But if the
Sariang,
yes,
it benefits the masses because of that there was no fuel shortage. There's no fuel shortage in this country. That is what the masses benefit from. That the fuel price is stable and there is no shortage. The masses
irrespective of the processes. But
the process was transparent and genuine. There was nothing wrong with the process. That I can guarantee you. Nobody, in fact, if you look at the parliament report, nobody faults the process. There was no faulting of the process.
Okay. For the benefit of our listeners, Doctor,
if the process was flawed, the parliamentary inquiry would flag that. But they never flagged that process. What they flagged was regulatory lapses in the process, in terms of the commercial banks, how they dealt with apology and so on and so forth. Those are the things that they allow regulatory lapses. But what I'm telling you is that the process were followed. Up to the point of coming to the Gambia, it was sold to OMCs that bought the oil, and they sold it and they collected tax and paid taxes to government.
So if you said OMC, so how is that process entail? Is it an open tender? Who can qualify us to bid on that?
Private sector doesn't do. That's why I say government. OMC are the oil marketing companies. The Oryxes, the Jar Oil, those who sell the oil in the market. Nobody does tender for that. Today, if you are an OMC, let's say you are Sariang Oil in the Gambia, you want to buy oil from Musa. What tender do you have to go through? You deal with Musa, that he comes and supply your oil. It's that simple.
So there's no disadvantages or anything like that. It's very open.
In fact, what government did was to facilitate so that there is enough storage available, and that there is no shortage of oil in the country, and that prices are stable. These are policy issues and regulatory issues. But when it comes to OMC dealing with oil traders who want to come and buy and sell, government just provides the level playing field for them to operate and transact.
And you can say that with wholeheartedly, government provided an open environment, enabling environment.
Of course. In fact, the parliamentary report, the parliamentary report does not really fault. I mean, yes, I can agree there are some regulatory lapses here and there that the parliamentary report flags, and government is looking at this very carefully and will take appropriate measures. But like I said, I don't see the scandal here, the manner in which it was exaggerated. I don't think it has really reached that level.
Okay, thank you.
So, Doctor, really, maybe you have more information than we do as far as this, you call it so-called oil scandal. But there was something very unusual, because every now and then, like you say, OMCs are basically purchasing oil in the international market and bring it to Gambia, and it's never been a big deal. For this one, there is something particular about it. Most people are saying that Russia was sanctioned by the international community, and what they have done was they've used conduit. You know, these are criminal cartels that would purchase this oil to kind of, avoid the sanctions, and then dealing with officials in the Gambia. That is the allegation that is out there. So the reason why it is seen as a scandal is because of these so-called cartels. But
let me ask you a question. You say Russia is sanctioned by international community. Specifically, who sanctioned Russia?
The international community.
India is buying fuel from Russia.
But China is buying from Russia.
What I'm telling you is that if one country sanctions Russia, doesn't apply to everyone in the international community. It's not the UN who if it was the UN that sanctioned, yes, we could say Gambia is a member of the UN, then we have to apply that sanction. If one country sanctions Russia, that is between that country and Russia. But anyway, we don't have to go there. Well,
I'm just saying there is something different about this particular case.
But particular one is not even from Russia. That is the first thing. It's not even from Russia.
So, Doctor.
Yes.
Obviously, as we look towards 2026 presidential elections, emotions are getting high a little bit. It's going to be a very critical period in any country, and stability is what we want. Maintaining our democracy is the utmost. Now, when you see immigration officers, and I heard you answer this question, going into Mauritania, going into Gabon, going into Togo, when people are very questioning, people are very concerned that maybe this government is not absolutely committed to free and fair elections. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But somebody like me, I live in the US. I don't know why would an immigration officer want to come here and give me a national ID to do what? That is the fundamental question. And people are not convinced. Nay, you guys are just doing this out of your, we want to take care of our citizens in the diaspora.
No.
People are very, I'm telling you, people are very, very cynical. They don't believe me. No, maybe doctor. Be like, if I'm in Mauritania, if I'm in Gabon, I can understand immigration officers facilitating a mechanism where either my passport, if it is expired, they will give me an emergency passport. I can understand that. Or even going all the way, or even facilitating our embassies to help us renew our passports. People can understand that. But to go to these communities, to give them national ID, to do what?
No, you get it wrong.
Okay, what did I go wrong?
So what happened is that Gambians in Mauritania, they are in fact not that much, and Gabon.
It's not the quantity.
They demand. I'm coming. No, but what I'm saying is that if you want to link it to elections, then look at the numbers. Then numbers are important, because if, for example, a government wants to rig elections, you go for numbers. Now, the most important thing is that Gambians in these two countries are not part of. These countries are not part of. Mauritania is not part of ECOWAS, and there was a period when Gambians' rights were violated by Mauritanian security agencies. And the president sent a high-level delegation to Mauritania to talk to the Mauritanian authorities to protect the rights of Gambians and to make sure that their rights are not violated. And so that the demand was for them to be able to identify themselves as Gambian, they need some form of ID. But we cannot give them passports. We send consular services to Mauritania with immigration to enroll them for ID cards. Those ID cards are not issued in Mauritania, they are issued in Gambia. What we do in Mauritania is just to vet them, take their applications, and everything is done properly so that we ascertain you are Gambia. We bring it to Gambia, issue it in Gambia. It's not issued in Mauritania. Now, if the government was planning, any government who's planning to rig an election, another government has other instruments apart from ID cards, like attestation. You go for attestations. You will not even go for ID cards.
No, but doctor.
For me, the whole issue is about.
Let's even say demand. I mean, I'm just saying, really, because you have to convince citizens. Now, we are doing this. If I live in Gabon, why would I want to? No, let me ask you this though. Why not a passport? And how do you affirm that? How do you go about, what document do they have to produce for you to be able to give them a national ID? Okay, now let me answer that. That one is for the immigration to do that job. That's an operational issue. Doctor.
No, as a government, we work on policy. The policy is that there's a demand from Gambians in Gabon and Mauritania that they need ID cards to ID themselves when they find themselves in trouble. And government has a policy to help them get those ID cards. It's that simple. So immigration now has criteria they follow. Just like anybody else, you have to produce documents. They've even rejected some because they could not certain their nationality. You need to produce birth certificates and so on and so forth so that they can give you ID. And those ID cards are printed in the Gambia. Now, if Gambia, those countries, I'm calling those countries, demand to provide with ID cards so they can be able to smoothly stay in those countries legally. Government has a responsibility to provide that for them. It has nothing to do with elections. That act we can guarantee you. I think 100%. People are just this.
The reason why we're saying that.
So we're going to big election day. Attestation amud trace. Attestation can get you ID card. Imagine all that. You're going to Gabon. I feel card. Voter register guy you will fly be fini. You fly no fini. But that cost. But I don't have area attestation. If you want to do it, we have no intention of doing that. That's not the intention.
So you think the government is just doing that, being very responsive to citizens living in the diaspora?
That is the only thing I can tell you that. Because look, today, Gambians are crying for Gambians to vote in the diaspora. We want to extend that franchise. But also Gambians...
All right. I'm glad you take us to that segue. And this is where I said citizens
will come there. What I'm saying is that if citizens in these countries, these few countries, said that they want ID cards to smoothen their stay in where they are, government has a responsibility to oblige and support them. That is it, pure and simple, nothing else. The whole thing is being misconstrued.
You were living in Sweden, England, Scotland, Musa Jeng in Atlanta, Sariang Manong in Washington, Wisconsin. We fought to the nail to bring the very democracy that we are all celebrating today. And if there is one thing that Gambians in the diaspora always talked about, is this enfranchisement that you just mentioned. And Gambians in the diaspora are kind of saying, what has this government done for us? It's not about appointing Dr. Ceesay or appointing Musa Jeng. It's not an individual thing. We're talking about the collective. Why we went out there and some people paid with their ultimate price. I should be able to vote. And some are also totally convinced that if President Barrow, His Excellency, was really committed Lalawa. Now this is important. We're talking about 10 years since 2016. If he was really committed to extend and enfranchise Gambians in the diaspora, it would have happened, just like everything else. But people are saying, just like Janneh, you guys are not committed to that. And you need to convince me that you are.
Musa, today it's in President Barrow's interest and the government's interest for us to extend the franchise. You know why?
Why?
If elections are to be held to the diaspora votes, the president will win overwhelmingly in the diaspora.
But you see, there you go again. Based on what?
No, because based on ample evidence we have, the support
what
here.
What evidence is that?
Diaspora is not only US. The diaspora is
No,
not
no,
only
no, I'm
England.
not talking about that. I'm not talking about it's only US. All I'm saying is,
Let me come to the practical.
no, but Dr. Bilai, let's
Because
not go there.
because
Young
making an
speculate. It's not based on you. It's based on intuition. It's based on.
Yang insinuate.
Hmm?
Yang insinuate ne. The only reason why we are not, you, not only you, many people across the diaspora, we are not committed to giving the franchise. It's because then Fogne, he cannot win in the diaspora. That is insinuation out there. Now, let me tell you something. President
But
has
let's forget
no
about
reason.
the insinuation. Let's forget
Okay,
about the insinuation. People can speculate whatever they want. But when everything is said and done, said and done, I live here in Atlanta and I'm not able to vote during the time of Janneh, and I'm not able to vote now. And I thought, we all fought and sacrificed so that I should be able to have a say who is going to be my next president. And all I'm telling you, whether when I live here in Atlanta, I'm not going to sit here and say that if elections were to be held, Barrow is going to lose. His own personal opinion. But what I want you to tell us is to convince me, what is preventing this government, President Barrow, the person that we put up there, what is preventing him to make sure that I'm enfranchised?
President did not disenfranchise you. You are not disenfranchised. You are disenfranchised because of your location. So if you come to Gambia, you can. So I'm coming. Let me just get it right. It's not like, you see, it's the geographical location that makes it practically impossible now.
Practically impossible?
Of course, because the laws are very clear. The constitution is very clear. You must be registered in a constituency where you are going to vote, but there's no constituent demarcation in diaspora.
Okay. Let me flip this.
Yes.
Man, I am from Lower Salom.
Wow.
Why in God's name can I not be registered as Musa Jeng from Lower Salom and to be able to, if somebody is really committed? No, hold on.
No.
What do you mean, no?
The law doesn't say that.
The law doesn't say that I cannot. That's not what the law says. The law says if, I'm sorry.
What does the law say? What does the law say?
Musa, I just wanna remind the minister that the Honorable Justice Minister, when he was at Parliament the last time, when majority of MPP folks voted that clause down, and he said the same exact thing that Doctor just mentioned. The legal advisors from the Parliament themselves saying there is no such statute. You are wrong. And he went in.
It's in the Constitution.
No, it's not. We can debate that. But no, I'm serious. But go ahead, Musa. Go ahead.
No, man, I just want him to educate me because we've been following this issue.
Let me just clarify this. New government, our commitment is to extend the franchise to every Gambian, no matter where you are, without discrimination. And you soon wish more in every Gambian move vote in an election. But the laws are as they are cannot permit it because the law is very clear that you must be registered in a constituency. Now, but there is what your Simon constituency in Musa right now.
What do you mean?
Yes. You know, because that's why in the constituencies.
Manila. I can register Musa Jeng from Lower Salom.
No, you cannot. The law, no, that's very difficult for that to happen. The best way, Musa. I think for me, I don't see any convergence here. I think we should work together, both the government and diaspora and the lawmakers, to resolve the outstanding issues of the constituency demarcation in the diaspora. So while we go for voting. But I think that is the thing now. But we are committed to make sure diaspora votes. Right now,
how are you committed to? Okay, doctor, please Musa, educate me. Help me out.
Musa, let me ask you.
I just want to follow up, just so that he can help me out.
Okay, no problem.
I just want to understand. When you say we are committed, how are you committed? What have you done? What have you done for us lately? To say that you are committed, it's just rhetorical that we are committed. I'm telling you, we brought this government in place. We elected President Barrow. The reason why there is President Barrow today is because of Man Ak Yow and a whole lot of people that live in the diaspora. Lolo moy dega. We are disappointed, the person that we elected. I'm telling you, bro, if he was committed to make sure that Musa Jeng, for the last 9 years, that will not be a problem. And we just didn't leave it to him. There's Professor Fall. They've demonstrated.
Unfortunately, most English speakers, most even society in West African sub-region, the only countries that allow diaspora voting are the French-speaking countries: Senegal, Guinea, Conakry. Nigeria doesn't, Sierra Leone doesn't, Ghana doesn't. I mean,
so what does that mean?
Right now, the laws don't provide for it. Let us work towards those laws.
But this is where the lack of commitment is. When you start saying country A doesn't have it, country B doesn't have it, you are legitimizing.
The reality is that the laws don't cater for it for now. Okay. Let us work towards changing the constitution. More than you see the new. That is why we brought the constitution, and UDP sent it out.
You see.
Okay.
I'll let my man.
So, Doctor, since we're talking about diaspora constituency, which is somehow a requirement, are you familiar with the case involving Pasamba Jau, Sidi Sani, and Bibi Dabo?
Yes, I'm familiar with it.
And what does that, when the Supreme Court ruled on that, what was the final?
That every Gambian has the right to vote. That's true. It doesn't buy. You can vote, but you have to come and register in the Gambia. It doesn't stop you from voting because you're in the diaspora. What cannot happen is right now. We cannot register you in constituency.
No, but Doctor, give me a chance to elaborate on my question. My question is the final ruling. What was the final ruling on that lawsuit at the Supreme High Court?
I cannot tell you the exact wording. What I can tell you is that it gives the diaspora the franchise that they must be able to vote. Am I wrong or right?
They must be able to vote, right?
Yes.
But
then that is the thing. But the practicalities, the technical before that voting, there are procedures. That is one of the things. So the Supreme Court, the way it interprets the law is different from how the law can be seen. So what I can tell you is that today you cannot register people in diaspora because there is no boundary demarcation in diaspora. It's not possible. Now, if you live in the diaspora and you want to vote, and you come to Gambia to register, nobody can stop you from voting. But geographically, in that particular part of the world, you cannot vote there because there is no constituency there. You cannot register there. You must be registered in a constituency.
No, Doctor, the interpretation of the ruling was not that. The ruling specifically said diaspora is its own constituency. For example, I live in Brikamonyo.
No, it cannot be. It cannot be.
Hold on. So now what I'm saying is, if I am from Baribu and Baribu is my area that I can vote in, I can register. If I
No, that's not possible. That is not possible.
But why is it not possible?
Why? You must be registered in a constituency. But there is no, where you are, there is no constituency. You cannot register in Miami and you say you are registering in Combo East. You are not in Combo East, you are in Miami.
I think the argument was you don't have to be physically present, Doctor. That was the underlying premise of the decision.
No, I disagree with that.
Oh, so you disagree with the Supreme Court? Okay, no problem.
What I can tell you is that the law is very clear. To vote, to register, you must be registered in a constituency.
Okay.
And there is no constituency in the West. You cannot register there.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, my question, the other question is, you mentioned that folks, Gambians in Mauritania were harassed and because Mauritanian authorities could not authenticate their Gambian citizenships. Now, my question to you is, what is the requirement? What documentation is needed to certify those individuals still where government went out there to issue them ID cards? What kind of documents did the government use to actually say that these folks are Gambians? What are the requirements for issuing those ID cards, national ID cards to these members who still face harassment in Mauritania? They were basically don't have any document, but the government claim
immigration has their own. No, that's the job of the immigration. That is not the job of.
But what is their requirement? Or what is the requirement of issuing a national ID card to members?
That applies to every Gambian, no matter where you are. Even those in the Gambia,
what is that requirement?
exactly, but I know that the immigration will do their job and make sure that anybody with the ID is a Gambian and follows the requirement. Now, what those requirements are, I don't know. What I can assure you is that the immigration will not give our ID documents to non-Gambians. They will not do that. They'll make sure that anybody who they give that ID to is eligible to get our ID card, and they'll do that. They'll do that to the letter.
So, Dr.
Now, what those requirements are, those are operational issues for the immigration to deal with.
No.
But we know that as a government.
Doctor, with all due respect, Honorable Minister, what I'm asking you is, if we're claiming that these government, the president, led a high-level delegation to go to Marr, these are your words, not my words, and you said they went out there due to constant harassment of Gambians living in Mauritania. My question is, Musa, you gotta go on mute.
Sorry.
Yeah. So my question to you is, if that delegation went out there to vow on behalf of these Gambians, how did the Gambia government authenticate these individuals are actual Gambian citizens?
I think that is why you get it wrong, Saria. I think if you don't, you wouldn't understand.
Okay.
There's a difference between policy and operation.
Okay. What is the difference?
As a government, Gambians in Mauritania say they need IDs to be able to live in that country, and they can be able to authenticate themselves when they are asked by the Mauritanian authorities.
Okay.
Government made a policy that, okay, now they should help them to get ID card. It is now for the immigration to do that, not the government. Immigration's job is to do that operational job, to go there, make sure they do what they are supposed to do, the right vetting and the right procedures are followed, and they issue them ID cards in the Gambia. That is for the job of the immigration. As far as we are concerned as a government, we have citizens in Mauritania who need to be ID'd, and they requested for us to provide ID cards for them as a government. And government can just make that decision. But the people who really give the ID cards and do that job, that operational job, they follow the procedures, do the vetting, it's immigration. Okay. It's not us as a government.
So doctor, here is the simple question. And there is an operational aspect to it. There is a policy aspect to it. I get it. But there are conditions, and the requirement has to be met.
Those are the operation, those are the immigration who are the conditions. And let me tell you, the same conditions that apply for a Gambian who is seeking for an ID in the Gambia is the same conditions that apply there as well.
But what are those conditions though?
But like I said, I don't know. I'm not an immigration officer. That's not my job.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
Certificate, they'll ask you for attestation. I don't know what to do, but I know that there are procedures they follow before you're eligible, before they can be able to ascertain you're a Gambian and you're eligible for an ID card.
I think the concern is very legitimate. I mean, and it raises a lot of eyebrows. I mean,
the concern doesn't make sense.
No, what it makes sense, doctor, because here we are having a conversation.
It doesn't make sense.
No, hold on. I asked
me not being able to tell you the job of the immigration doesn't validate that concern. What I can tell you is that the concern does not make sense, because if government really wants to register non-Gambians in an election, there are many other ways you can do it than to go to Mauritania, Gabon, and give ID cards to Gambian. It's not that doesn't make sense.
No. I am not. You're making that allegation. What I'm trying to say.
Not me.
No.
That is the allegation. That is the reason why UDP protested yesterday is because of that.
Fair enough. And that, I think what they were alluding to is, if some group of folks in Gabon claim that they have been harassed because they don't have national document to actually authenticate their bona fide citizenship.
Not Gabon. That's Mauritania.
I'm just using an example. I'm just using an example.
Okay.
So let's go to the thing. Mauritania.
No, let's flip it. Let's flip it. Sorry.
No, hold on. Let me ask him. Coach is here. He's working, so I want to give him an opportunity to ask.
Wait. I'm going to explain here, bang. If Gambians in Gabon and Mauritania request from their government to provide them with ID cards,
okay,
and government, we should commend government for that, Saria. We should not question governments for that. If governments in America request for government to provide them with ID cards, and government extends that service to them as Gambians. We commend the government.
But Simon, doctor, the question here is not whether the government should support them. The question is the processes. And I think that's where we are.
But this is the same process as anywhere in the Gambia.
But what are the processes?
Now,
You're asking me to go to the, are you able to provide
are you questioning the process in the country? In the Gambia, within the country, are you questioning that process?
I don't have to. All I'm asking is what is the process? I'm not questioning.
Like I said, that is not my job.
Okay.
I don't give ID cards.
Are you able to follow up with immigration and get?
Give me the list of things.
I think Doctor, the bottom line here is, and I'm just telling you, there shouldn't be so much scrutiny and back and forth on this issue. If the citizens allege, it's incumbent upon the government. If I ask, I said, what is the process? What is the requirement?
We can provide that. We can provide that.
So claim that they've been harassed because
we can provide.
So what is the requirement to issue those? Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Coach. Go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, you know what, man? This has been so hot, I could not stay away. So, Doctor, welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here. And I just want to tap on this issue. And you raised in your contention, there is not an issue. Section 9 of the Gambian Constitution, which deals with citizenship, is very clear that every person born in the Gambia after coming into force of this constitution shall be presumed to be a citizen of the Gambia by birth, if at the time of his or her birth, one of his or her parents is a citizen of the Gambia. And this is where the problem comes. The Department of Immigration, which I follow on Facebook, made an announcement. It was done by an officer, Manka. I remember the name because she's the daughter of a longtime friend and a neighbor. And part of the requirements for acquiring documents when they go to the diaspora, and that includes anywhere, is your papers, attestation. And this is where the issue lies. Because just by being born in the Gambia, does not, according to our constitution, both the one that has been repealed, the 1970 and the 1997 constitution, guarantee you citizenship. So how does an alcalo, who may not be too au fait with the constitution, be able to ascertain the citizenship of another person? Because all they can tell you, they want to get them, tamna bayam, fila judo. But that does not make you a citizen. And this is where the problem is, Doctor. Because when I saw that and I made a comment on their page that their assertion is problematic because being born in the Gambia does not necessarily make you a citizen. So what is the government going to do to make sure that if Musa Jeng from Kawur by virtue of just being born wants a government paper whilst in the US or in Mauritania, that we can ascertain constitutionally that he is actually a Gambian?
Well, obviously, ki xam ne kan nga judu ak fo judu na xam kan mo la jur. We have a very close-knit society. Ñu xam nañ lolu. Te su fekkee ne man maa ngi judu Brikama Sumakunda, for example, alkali bi bu mu fa woon bu ma judu xam na suma papa. So when they do attestation, it's not only the fact that you are born there, they also give kan mo la jur. So it's as simple as that.
But Musa Jeng mun na la jur and Musa Jeng is not a Gambian.
No, obviously. No, so you attest, they attest to that. No, they
can attest that Dr. Ceesay is the father, but Dr. Ceesay may not even constitutionally be a Gambian. That's where the issue lies.
No, that's not an issue, Coach.
But how is the language of the constitution, the guiding document of our country, the one that tells us who is what and what, where the parameters are and all that stuff? There is a reason why the language is there.
Yeah,
so
but
what is government doing to make sure?
Only confirming for judo. Dafa also confirm kan mo la jur and that they are Gambian.
But again, doctor, you know what you're trying to do? Will the government educate? Let me put it this way: the attestors of these attestations to understand the legality. Who is a citizen and who is not a citizen, so that just by
But
virtue of you being my neighbor for 40 years,
why are you assuming the understanding? Why are you assuming the understanding?
I live in the Gambia. I've lived in the Gambia. I've dealt with people who are Alcalos who've never maybe seen a copy of the Gambian constitution.
Wow.
And,
But don't underestimate the understanding.
Doctor, even government, I can tell you, the president has never read the constitution of the Gambia unless it is quoted.
Well,
so not every Gambian picks up the constitution and reads it.
But coach, you don't have to read the entire constitution to understand your role, the role you play in implementing the constitution.
Okay, let's move to the other topic. But my advice is, I think the Ministry of Justice with the Department of Immigration, giving the sensitivity of this matter, should at least be having refresher courses of all these alcalos to understand, because of the attestations will give access to voters card to people who may not be even qualified to have it, and they may do it knowingly or unknowingly.
One thing I can tell you, coach, I trust alcalos to give attestations. I trust that they'll do their job in attesting people who are not only born there, but also who their parents are, and they attest to the status of their parents. Man, I trust that they'll do their job. Man, gisuma anything lu waratama question the way they do their job. Gisanguma ko.
Okay, let's go back to
just a quick update. I mean, you want to Marr Nyang in the next maybe 10-15 minutes. So go ahead.
So, man, as soon as Coach Kanja Defi, that's when you with your update.
No, do your turn.
I'm just pulling your leg. In fact, I just have this question, and I'm Arahi. You guys are doing a great job. Sari and Temom, you are 100. Musa Angi 55. On the issue of diaspora vote, Doctor.
Wow.
I have worked with you on this issue before you became a member of this government. The case that is being cited, you were working with us behind the scenes on this matter, on this litigation.
Did you say behind the scenes?
Well, you were not part of the litigants, but you were in the same group. You were there openly. Okay.
And I'm just teasing you. Go on.
Yeah. The constitution of the Gambia is very clear on the rights of all Gambians of age to be able to vote and be voted into office. And when it said to be registered in a constituency, that did not mean that everybody must live in that constituency. And that case is a settled case. And I refer you to member Tambedu versus MC Cham case. It was on this matter. Now, if you look at the law Sibopam, let's look at even the Elections Act, the current Election Act, Section 11 of the Act. This was under an autocratic rule, Janneh. It was clearly stated that all efforts must be made to enfranchise the diasporans. And Doctor, I believe, and this is what I know you believed before now, that President Adama Barrow has no desire for the diaspora to be enfranchised, because problematic is not enough to restrict somebody's rights to participate in the process. And I also believe that what the NPP and you guys, the partnership, did was to use an effort to try to promote the 2024 draft and say, you know what, if we give the diaspora the vote in the Elections Act, they may not fully support the 2024 draft. But if their right to participate hinges on the 2024 draft, they may be more inclined to support it. What say you to that?
Are you making an assumption?
Fact.
I don't think it's a fact. That's an assumption. That is your assumption. I totally disagree with that. One thing I can tell you is that the president is committed for expanding the franchise to every Gambian. But again, if the laws currently as they are doesn't permit for diaspora to vote because they cannot register in the diaspora, the president cannot do anything about it. But like I said, it will require continuous engagement to change those laws. to make sure that we demarcate the diaspora so they can be able to vote. But for now, the fact is that they cannot vote. Logistically, it's a nightmare. Also remember,
that should not be enough to deny anybody's rights because of logistics.
Let me also discuss the logistics of it. The logistics of it, even though it's not an excuse, because as a government, no matter how much we spend for the diaspora to vote, it's worth it because we are extending the franchise. It's their right to vote. But like I said, currently as it is, there are so many bottlenecks that can allow the diaspora to vote. And I think we need to sit together, diaspora, government, the National Assembly, to sit and find a way forward to this. I don't think it is helpful if we have to play a blame game here, saying the president doesn't have the desire. I don't think that is correct. The president has the desire.
But Doctor, I have to push back here. You are very aware of the efforts that have been made by Gambians in the diaspora to work with the government so that enfranchisement would be a reality. Jibril Fall and his group.
It's a process, Coach. We don't expect it to happen overnight. It's a process. These things are processes.
Solutions.
There are many countries today.
Bottlenecks you guys are talking about. But again, it looks like the connection is acting up. So sorry,
can you hear me?
I don't know whether you're hearing me. Are you?
Yeah, I can hear you, Coach.
I'm here, Coach. I can hear you.
Coach.
So is Doctor hearing me too?
I can hear you, Coach. Can you hear me?
Okay. So sorry, to me, this is the issue. Because Doctor knows, and I know, because I've worked with Doctor for a very long time on this issue, that every information that the government is claiming not to have or know was provided to them on a silver platter. Everything, including the data of Gambians, where they live, who lives where, and all that. Even funding was also discussed, where means were going to be provided to be able to make it a reality. So there is nothing, no bottleneck to make it a reality. The only thing that is stopping diaspora from voting is the total lack of political will from the NPP and politicians.
I disagree with that. I think for me, it is a process. There are many countries today in the world that has put in the laws. In fact, they changed their laws for diaspora to vote, but implementation took a long time. We're in that process. Let us work together and engage and make it happen. Let us not, for me, I'm not giving up. I think diaspora will vote. It will happen. But I think we need to also make sure that those bottlenecks, we remove those bottlenecks and work together to make them vote. But for now, the law doesn't permit it. That is a simple fact.
So I have one more question, but since Musa
Coach, go ahead, Coach. Go ahead. We'll let you answer.
Doctor, my friend, I've heard you always when you talk about what Barrow has done, President Barrow. Let me say that before Boy Fatah has a heart attack. What President Barrow did, you always say we came from an autocracy to where we are today. How does it feel for you, Dr. Ceesay, with all your democratic credentials, to be associated or in alliance with a party that perpetuated autocracy for 22 years without any shame or remorse? And when I'm talking about the APRC, I'm talking about Sibinjai, I'm talking about Fabakary Tombong Jatta, I'm talking about everybody else who cheerlead Jammeh's dictatorship for 22 years. What does that make you feel? How do you feel associating yourself with those people?
That is not important. What is important is the president's performance. That is what is important. His performance in maintaining peace and stability in this country. His performance in making sure that we have a very vibrant economy. Our economy is growing to 5.9% by the end of the year. His performance in bringing inflation down, in stabilizing commodity prices. His performance in providing access to electricity by the end of 2026. His performance in bringing water expansion and building almost 10 classrooms per week and expanding access to education, access to healthcare, building roads. That is what is important, Coach. Who he works with in the political alliance is of no significance at this point. What is important is the delivery. He has a mandate and is focusing on that mandate. That is important, and that is that we should focus on, Coach. For me, as far as I'm concerned.
So,
well, I thank you very much, my friend, for joining, and I hope this will not be the last time. We will not be chasing you anymore. You know, I know where you live, and I know how to get to you. But anyway, good to see you again, brother.
Sure.
All right, guys.
So, Doctor, Sarian, I guess we just go one question each, and then we can let the good doctor go. Definitely. And thanks for his patience. I mean, our technical issues did not make it a very smooth one for me personally.
Today,
But I, all the same, I'm able to ask the.
Between Dr. Ceesay, Ibrahim, and Sidi, those guys, man, those are my ministers in the government. So, and but Ibrahim is trolling me here and saying that take it easy.
I know, man, me some Doctor, Doctor, let me say this. When you first came on this program, I think, when you became minister, and I said this even when you were hired, that you are indeed going to be an asset to this government. I believe it then, and I believe it now. And there's no doubt. The first question that I asked was how you change the ministry. I mean, I was off when you answered that question, but I think you have indeed changed the ministry. I mean, the Ministry of Information today is totally different from the Ministry of Information of yesteryear. I mean, in terms of being very proactive, I mean, in terms of, we all used to say that, at least the government used to say they have a communication problem. Now, I don't think they would say they have a communication problem. Now, some of us really do believe that you do a lot of spinning, and then sometimes you defend the indefensible. And I'm thinking that one can still defend a government policy, I mean, by representing the citizens as well. But I mean, every question doesn't have to be a spin. And sometimes people do believe, and some even go further to say that, I mean, they will say sometimes, I mean, I don't want to say this, like Doctor not only spins that the letter L, I don't want to disrespect you. I mean, they do say that. And sometimes you get emotional. You go after, like a Madi Jobat and Momrek, he's just on his own. I mean, you discount people. And sometimes I think you can be an effective defender of us without going after a Madi Jobate, because Madi Jobate is a citizen and he's doing a hell of a job out there. Sometimes people think you have been unfair by handpicking and personalizing. What do you say to that?
No, I think with Madi Jobate, Madi is a brother and a very good friend of mine. We disagree on issues, and he goes after me as well, and he goes after the government as well. That's politics.
But on the issues, though, on the issues, that what he does. Madi doesn't go after doctor and say that Dr. Me Mundara or Dr. Me, he's incompetent.
What we require from Madi, say that. Objective. No, what we require from Madi is to be objective in his analysis of the situation. Madi is not objective. Madi has got political. That is the fact. And for me, and the second thing is that is disingenuous for Madi to portray himself as a center for rights and justice when his views are his whole individual views.
No, but I mean,
so it's important.
The guy has a board.
I mean, he's misleading the public. He's misleading the public. Now, when it comes to my own personal about spinning, I'm not spinning. I'm not lying. I say the facts. Now, people who don't want the facts are the ones who think that the facts are lies or spins. I'm not. I would never spin and I would never lie. What I say is the fact and the way I see things. My role is to defend the government. And that's what I'm doing by giving the public the facts. Now, if people want to twist the facts and turn them into lies and call me a liar, so be it. But I'll do my job.
So my final question, Doctor. Our country is at a critical stage, and especially as we look forward to 2026. If there is one thing that the government has not been able to accomplish, and that is to unify a country, there is a lot of polarization, there's a lot of anger, there is the inability of this government to unify people. One can disagree, but at the same time, not the kind of environment that we live in today. Wouldn't you consider that as a failure? That maybe the government also has a role? The government's inability, President Barrow's inability to unify people, bring people together.
Gambians are united today than ever before. Yes, we disagree politically, and that's normal in a democracy. What do you expect? Democracy doesn't call for consensus sometimes. Democracy calls for different points of views. It's never possible to get a democracy where everybody agrees in a country. But listen, our disagreements are not vicious, they are not dangerous, and they are not to a point where we can say that the country is at a boiling point. No, we disagree. But at the end of the day, we go to each other's kulio, we go to each other's ngente, ditch. When there's a nationalist, we all come together. I don't see that. What people will see, I don't see it in the Gambia. What I see is people love each other in this country. People like each other and people respect each other. Yes, we disagree. UDP here will speak, NPP will speak here, but at the end of the day, we're all the same. I don't see that. For me, to be honest, I don't see a problem here. All I see is democracy at play. People disagree on issues, and we talk about it, and we move.
And again, we thank you immensely, Doctor. We definitely.
Thank you.
It was helpful to have you on.
Okay, Musa, I think I can ask my 2 questions, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, Doctor, thank you very much for coming in. And I must add that, you know, when you came to the government, you came from academia, and a lot of young folks look up on you. And having both representing a political party, or CA, and coming to the government as the minister, it carries a lot of weight and responsibility. And this is without any political line. Some of us thought, okay, since he's out there, young, vibrant, educated, he might be involved in swaying some policies and directions of the government because he has a tete-a-tete with the president. And he could be a close advisor to somehow, you know, sway the dynamics of where our country is headed. With that question in mind, Doctor, we're thinking of the event on Friday. And I'm talking about professionalism in the civil sector and also promoting apolitical conduct and also integrity within the civil service sector and also the civilian sector to prevent corruption and political interference. Why do you think you feel in this equation as a conduit of living in the diaspora before, teaching at the university, being the leader of an opposition party, and now being the Minister of Information?
The question is not very clear.
Oh, you didn't hear me?
I heard you, but I'm not very sure what the question is really about.
Yeah, no, I said, where do you fit? What do you think your role is? And what impact have you made since assuming this position?
Well, I think I've been given a sector to run. That is the sector, the information sector. And I think that is where my advice comes, and that is where my job comes. Other ministers have their own sectors, and I cannot be seen to be interfering with other people's jobs as well. So my sector is to make sure that public access to public information is proactive, and that is what I do. Now, anything else is not my job, to be honest. My job is to promote transparency and accountability by providing access to information, and this helps also promote our democracy. So that is my role. Now, when it comes to security issues and other issues, there are sector ministers who deal with that. For me, as the sector minister in the Ministry of Information, my job is to focus on my sector.
So my last question is, obviously, Musa asked this question not long ago, and besides democracy, we have to create an enabling environment to promote divergent views, but to see each other as each other's keepers. You and I can come on this platform, but it's just not today that we knew each other. Our parents knew each other many, many years ago. That's the Gambia we wanted to see, and that's the Gambia we foresee for the future, where Christians and Muslims can celebrate Easter together. Folks can go neighbors, good neighbors. That's what we want. But recently, we've seen things that are so unpleasant. And I think what I expect, as I said, you came from an academia background, you are in the diaspora job. All what we are saying today is now news to you, right? You've been an advocate for these, like diaspora voting, corruption, trimming excessive government spending. You said this. You were in the forefront. Now,
and I still believe in it.
You still believe in it. But how do we take it to another level, Doctor? I mean, do we create an enabling environment whereby civil societies are engaged and spoke about? Because, I mean, even the sector, when was the last time, if you could tell us, in terms of security sector reform, where the government engaged civil societies to get their input and hopefully get them to do some training to create
it happens
more
time. Every time it happens.
What do you mean every time? Yeah.
DECAF programs, we sponsor programs, civil society, Sid Mati, he works with government, he works with National Security Advisor's Office. Civil society works and they take part in these trainings. Maybe because you miss it in the news, doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It's happening. We engage civil society in these issues, particularly in our reform processes. So they're happening. And Sid Mati is here, he's listening. He stands up, works with government on many occasions to train and also to come up with certain reforms. So that is happening. But like I said, for me, yes, it's a young democracy. It's a bit fragile. And many Gambians are finding themselves in this new democracy. We disagree on issues. We take political stances and make political statements. But there's a common denominator, which is we're all Gambian. And we all love our peace. And we are all related in this country. I can sit and insult Coach morning till evening. But when I meet him, I'll shake hands with him. So, and that is the beauty of Gambia today. So don't be carried away by the rhetoric online sometimes. Yes, it can be unpleasant. But in the Gambia here today, to be honest, we live in peace. And Gambians appreciate the work of the president. Because, you know, Gambia is better off today than it was 15, 20 years ago. And that's a fact. There's ample evidence to that in terms of the basic provision of services. And then that's it. Like I said, it's not perfect. But we are working towards making sure that at least we build a country where every Gambian can live in dignity. And that is the priority of the president, His Excellency Adama Barrow.
Thank you. I love Dr. Just except the last part, I tend to disagree because the polling data doesn't support that. So,
What data?
This press data, it says that if the elections are held, he's going to win 31%. But if you look at the other tabulation, 69%
no.
Barrow camp.
The data did not even say that. It did not say if elections are to be held today is winning by 31%. It never said that. The data, it did not ask that question. It asked who is likely to win. These are two different things.
Okay,
who are you for? Who is likely to win? Now,
60% said they will not vote for him. 60% said they will not vote for him.
You see, let me tell you, that's what they call confounding variable in opinion polling. They can say today, but come election, when they are faced with the candidate, these things can change. They'll vote for the president because they'll not see an alternative.
Now, look,
like
we are interpreting the data as it is today. We're saying 58% of citizens do not want the president to run. That's the fact.
Will it affect the outcome of the elections?
I'm sorry?
Will it affect the outcome of the elections? Will it influence it?
I'm just saying it could be. But there's something else that it says. Look, 60% said they will not vote for him. I honest to God believe that if the opposition read this polling data, we can get change in 2026. Because it's there, Jaharang. It all comes down to this. The polling data is for the government to read it, or they can dismiss it as they want at their own peril. The opposition also, they can read it and dismiss it at their own peril. But I do know.
You live in the US, isn't it? In the US, and you follow US. You live in the US and you follow US politics.
Yes.
What did opinion polls say about Trump, Kamala Harris last election?
Oh my God, they have it right on the money. It was 1 percentage point.
No.
I'm telling you, it was the polling was going 1% today, Kamala, tomorrow Trump, and that's all within the margin of error. So I think the polling data had it on the. And look, Cyprus in 2021, they were right on the money. All I'm saying is you can dismiss the polling data.
No, I'm not dismissing Sepras. Don't get me wrong. What I'm telling you is that we have 1 year, 3 months to election.
Okay.
Long time in politics.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. That is true.
The way in which you say the opposition can use the data, we are also going to use the data.
Absolutely, I agree.
Exactly.
I agree. But what you cannot do though, is to sit here and say that, because look, even the Afrobarometer, when they came, 70% said the country is heading in the wrong direction.
But 27% said they will vote for the president. The president was leading in the polls when it was time for voting.
Musa Manfuma Daniel Moise with
all I'm saying is, if I were President Barrow, I would be very concerned, because
what I'm telling you,
absolutely concerned.
Afrobarometer data is telling you that same data is telling you that if elections are to be at that time, President Barrow was going to win.
Absolutely, but you know what? It all comes down to this. You know it, and I know it. If the opposition, if they do their homework, I tell you, President Barrow is in trouble. If the opposition, business as usual, yeah. I mean,
let me ask you a fundamental question.
Go ahead.
Yes.
What has changed that will make opposition change? It's going to be the same opposition in 2026.
Okay. And let me ask you. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. The other question is this. President Barrow in 2021 won by 53%.
Yes.
Now, based on the election data, the polling data, only by 31%. And if you
remember,
what happened? No, 3%. What happened? Why that 20-point drop? What do you think is behind that?
No, what I'm saying is that you cannot compare an opinion polling and a real election. What I'm telling you is that decided voters, the undecided vote. Look, elections don't have undecided voters. Elections, everybody who has a people vote. Now, remember, there's one of undecided voters. And
29%.
But the data tells us that the majority vote for the incumbent.
Okay.
31%. But check this out. If you take Talib Bensouda's 18%, Alhaji Ousainou Darboe's 12%, and then you add the 29% of the undecided, Barrow is history.
Polls. You cannot. Why Talib a candidate?
Is actually no.
I'm just telling you. I'm just reading the data. I'm just reading the polling data as it is.
Doctor.
That is why it is flawed.
We're gonna
have a professor.
It's not in the poll.
Because Khalifa Saleh, no. Because Khalifa Saleh already announced that he's not running. So what the poll has done, they're looking at potential candidates.
Saleh announced he's running.
Musa.
Look.
Musa,
Talib, you see, why put Talib Dabo? No, wait. Why put Talib and Dabo?
Doctor, we have Marr Nyang who is supposed to.
No. But here's my closing.
Marr is coming. Marr is coming. Hold on, Sariang. Hold on.
Why?
Look, all I'm saying is but doctor, you can question the scope, why this or why that. But when everything is said and done, the polling data is the polling data. You can question their motivation. Why Talib and not Dr. Ismaila Ceesay or not Khalifa Saleh? But it doesn't change. 50% of the Gambian people, they believe they want Talib to run. That is the truth. That's what the data is saying. You cannot dismiss that.
The data is also saying if he runs, Barrow will beat him. That's what the data is saying.
Yes. I'm with you.
Musa,
but I see that what I see is you're comparing with an incumbent that Gambian knows for 10 years for a newcomer. And you said 1 year, 6 months in election is a lifetime in politics. It's a lifetime.
What is wrong is to bring Talib and Dabo in one opinion.
Why is it wrong? He's a big player.
He's not a player. He's not a president candidate. He's a mayor.
Anyway.
Musa, but here is another thing.
Dabo is the president. Dabo is the leader. You cannot bring Dabo and Talib in the same pool. And
Lolen, why are you? What are you guys afraid of? Why are you guys afraid of? What are you guys afraid of? Langen Ragal.
Let me tell you something. Talib is easier to beat than Dabo. Talib is easier to beat than Dabo.
No, that's what you guys want.
I tell him to take it to the bank.
No,
that's what you guys want.
Musa, but there's another thing.
18%. With that was 12, 30%. Barrow beat them, both of them together combined. Barrow beat them.
Margin of error, 1 percentage point by margin of error. You know it. You're a political science lecturer, my friend.
Musa, but you are talking about where he's vulnerable. If the president has served for 8 years, he's the incumbent, well known with all the infrastructure development. He's 31% that he would win the election. 29% underwater, undecided. You add all the opposition figures that they mentioned there. You tabulate their numbers.
His history.
13, 31, 66.
And he knows it. Doctor knows it.
Well, what I can assure you on a final note is that what the president has done in this country is unprecedented. Okay. And Gambians, his approval ratings are up in this country, and Gambians are going to.
No. Based on what data? His approval rating. What data?
Based on data we have.
What data?
Yeah, our data.
What? Which one?
Our data. We are a government. We have our data as well. What do you think? We don't have data?
I mean, we are part of the government. How come you guys don't show us that data?
Why, if we have our data for our own use, why should we share it if we don't think
that's what political message.
I have my own data. I have my own data that if I were to run for president, I will make more than 15%. It's easy to say. The barometer said 70% of the people think the country is heading in the wrong direction. 60% of Gambians said if elections were to be held today, they'll vote against an incumbent who's been in office for 8 years. With everything that you said he has done. Doctor,
equally.
I'm telling you, I will be very, 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 very concerned if I am one of the political advisors.
And I think the 31% doesn't really say that they're gonna vote for Barrow, but it's a perception that Barrow will win. So let's make
Ibrahim Silla Mune, the data is fallacious. When I go, there goes Trump. When you don't like it, when you don't like the poll, it's fallacious.
I love my brother trolling all along, and I'm telling you, bombastic.
But doctor, thank you very much. Though we gotta bring you back.
On a final note, it is important for governments to give Barrow a third term to ensure stability and continuity of work that is already started. That is be the best interest of this country, and governments know that, and they will do it. They'll give him a third term. That I can guarantee you.
Thank you very much, doctor.
Thank you. We appreciate you. But
all right, we appreciate you immensely.
Please
definitely
come back.
Sariang.
Yes.
Yeah, it was really lined up to be a good one, but oh my God, the internet, bro. That kind of just put me off my game. Serious.
No, Ibrahim cracks me up, man. He's trolling big time.
He's trolling me the same thing. He's bombarding me with information.
No, he says that his polling data is fallacious. I'm telling you.
But Nyang, if you're watching, we definitely. I'm sorry that we keep you.
I love MPP folks, man.
We keep you this late, but Marr, if you can join us, we'll definitely. Oh my God, bro! Everything. He had his technical issues, and then we have ours too. Yes. But overall, I think it was a good one.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. There was no surprises there. So.
Doctor will be doctor, he's gonna do his. But I think.
But Musa, you know what I realized though? I think there's a gap, and I think the gap is widening. Here goes the reason I pressed Doctor on a lot of security sector reform questions was, let's look at this from a practical point of view. What are these youths crying for?
Right.
They are crying for economic injustice. They could not earn enough money to buy these data, whatever internet they wanted. That's what the problem was, right? So when they went out there initially, there's videos. They watched the RSM that was there. I think his name is Ceesay. Ceesay was there. There was another officer who had the white uniform, and they were engaging these folks with Lamin C and talking. But what I was expecting from a technical to de-escalate, they were out there in front of the building. And there was actually folks in uniform who had weapons and were standing right there and they were engaging them, right? What would have been taken for Mr. Barr, the current head of that institution, to say, you know what, I'm going to accept 5 people, let's come inside, while those officers, there was an officer who was there talking to the rest of we can only accept 5 people to go inside and talk to Mr. Barr and get their petition, have Mr. Barr go inside with them and sit down and speak to them and explain things. It's a regulatory body, we get it.
Yeah.
But what are the driving forces behind such a situation? And take their petition, have a discussion, and said, we will respond. You guys have to give us opportunity to respond. But no, we all see what happened when the SAR guy came in. Arrest them. You have that. I have instructions.
I know.
So I think it's unfortunate, but it all goes into what we have today. They can call it anyhow they want. But if you're doing security sector reform, what are the measures and what are the desired outcomes? I mean, if they are talking about professional training, I haven't seen Mr. Saad demonstrate that. The one that he said prior, I sat on here and I said, Party did a great job. Party didn't even come in uniform. He came in civilian clothes and engaged these folks. And there was one before, even let the folks pray, right there, block traffic and everything. That's what you engage. You have a dialogue. But when you escalate and these folks are taking and all that, what I saw was grabbing Killer Ace, grabbing this guy, pushing him. Bro, that reminds me of a freaking Janneh era, and that must be called out in explicit terms. And I don't really think we deserve that as a country. I think we need to move past that. And I think that's why I keep asking that question, because you should have measures, but what are the desired outcomes? You know, in terms of even engaging the civilian. If they come down there, all they want was to have a petition. I mean, could you kind of, if they say, hey, Flex Jan, Lamin C, and the other 4 or 5 folks come inside, we're going to have a conversation. They don't have any weapons. We all know that. They don't have any bombs strapped around them, right? So you have to actually do a risk assessment. But what immediate threat have they posed down there? If Njoguba said, let's have a conversation, it would have not reached to the stage.
That could have been. It could have been really, like you said, de-escalated. I mean, take 2, 3, 4 people, take them to the boardroom at Pura, sit down with them. Because there was a piece that they put out there explaining their position. They could have done that and listen to these folks and then just take their petition letter and then just let it go. I mean, this idea of, you heard what Dr. Ceesay is saying, basically, that as a government, they cannot allow, in other words, they're thinking, look, if we let these guys get away with it, today is Pura, tomorrow is going to be the National Assembly. Their attitude is, if you give them, an inch, they will take a mile.
No, but Musa, if you look at modern democracies and you look at the history, democracy always have conflict with individual liberties and individual rights.
Absolutely.
That is something, a delicate balance you have to strike. And what it does is you have to be able to de-escalate and have a conversation. And what I saw there was an escalation. Even though those folks who were there talking to Lamin C face to face, when the man showed up, arrest them. Hey, what kind of stuff is that one? You don't talk to people. And
the other unfortunate part is Gambia is a totally different country. If you look at Gambia under President Jawara, you're talking about a population of what, 300, 400,000 people. The majority maybe lives in the rural areas, farmers. The literacy rate was very low. That was a different Gambia. Then you bring Gambia under Janneh, under a dictatorship. Again, a totally different country. The current Gambia, I am telling you, you cannot apply or utilize the same tools that you had during the First Republic or the Second Republic, especially when it comes to policing, because it's different.
Yeah, it is.
It's totally different. So they really have to search down deep and the way that they are going to manage this, what I would call evolving fragile democracy. It's not business as usual. The young people are not going to sit here and allow just a segment of the population having all the good life. People are not gonna, that is not going to work.
No, it's not.
You are sowing the seeds of instability. So something has to be done. I mean, in terms of the way they manage these kind of things. People are going to protest. I mean, I'm not a fan of protest. I'm not. I mean, Banka will tell you that in a minute, or Pasamba. But again, they really need to go back and look into this. If not, I don't think it's helping. I don't think it's helpful at all. But I want to go and call, I think he's going to take me off.
No, go ahead. Go ahead and call Marr, and I'll continue my analysis on this
Yeah.
one, you know? And I think what I was trying to just say is, I mean, folks refusing to be bailed, it doesn't have to escalate to this point. And I think definitely, having a dialogue. This has been a challenge. I mean, if you read most research, they will tell you it's always clashing, but that is not going to deter folks from going out there next week. They arrest these folks. There were people who applied for permit the next day. They show up for about, ID card stuff. So this is going to be ongoing. So how you strike a good balance, that is very critical in moving the conversation forward and engaging, without, coercing these folks and, subject them to arrest and stuff. I think it's pretty unfortunate, and some of the behaviors, chasing a young man, running away. Someone was crying, saying he was there. He didn't protest. There was a young man who had medical issues. I don't think it needs to get to that point, right? This is what I mean. People fought for these protests because of that resistance. 2016, when a lot of things were unpopular, people don't show up. Few people are showing up. Definitely. So there was protest. There was things that people adhere to, despite which Janneh has all the arsenals, and that was what usher us on today. So let's not forget that. So the fact that we're dismissive, we're going to take a posture to suppress those voices, I think that is totally disingenuous. I really don't think it's going to work, and I'm just saying that peaceful assembly somehow threaten, good order and discipline or national security. What is the assessment? What is the assessment? Saying that we're going to go protest, but do they pose immediate threat? No. I mean, when they were at, Westfield, they demonstrated. Party came out there. There was actually, I don't know this guy, and I think he was there that day too. He was very professional, engaged, because if tension, you delay, you keep talking to them, and I saw presidential advisors. What is that? The young man Lami City, all of them came out and engaged in Nene. There should be lessons learned from that episode, carrying it forward, not taking this posture. And I really don't think Mr. Sarr should show up at any type of protest. If definitely the government cares about peace and stability, Mr. Nyang, Sarr should not be sent anywhere close to any protest, because what he does is he will agitate, and it will result to things getting out of hand and resorting to property damages and lives. And I don't think that's what they want. I really don't want. You have to have a good handle on this one. Yeah.
So I've just spoken to Marr. He's going to join us, and because this is like bro, how do you see doctor's reaction and Ibrahim's trolling us? I think they're concerned.
Musa. You look at the body language, you look at the response. The data that you are interpreting, you and I are interpreting the same data they are looking. They are political junkies, right?
Yeah.
So if you there's a perception of 31% and undecided 29%. You got one opposition figure and a mayor who hasn't even declare his intention to run, or he's not a presidential candidate, pull 18% and opposition 13%. You got SRFAL 3%, right? Even with those three and 3%, right? So if you add that together, that trumped the 31%. So if 29%, basically, if they are saying they haven't decided with an incumbent, they are touting all this infrastructure development.
Exactly.
Hey, you know what? I mean,
So,
you know, you can.
So the 29%, why are they undecided? I mean, they know you. You are the incumbent. You said you build roads in Basse. You said you build roads in CRR. You said the OIC road.
Yes.
I mean, you say health, we are better off. There are a lot of things that you have said.
Yes.
They know that.
Yeah.
But they're saying, I'm not with you. I mean, these are independents. These are people like you and me. If I were polled on that poll, I'm telling you, most likely that's where I'm at. So people are saying, again, look, every politician, even if you're planning to run, even if you're SFR, ignore that poll at your peril. If you're the opposition, ignore. And then listen to this one. This is the one that just say, why would they include Talib in the poll?
No, I was gonna say that.
Why not? I mean, they could have included me. You think I'll get 2%? Most likely not. So
it's kind of suspicious there. I'm telling you right now. It's just like,
why are you questioning who is included in the poll and who is not? And then you're saying, his doctor is saying, oh, I'm not questioning Cyprus. Okay, you're not questioning Cyprus. Cyprus has a reputation. I mean, the last time I checked, and then he said, oh, did you see what happened Trump and Kamala? Bro, if you go back to those polls, I swear to God, it was like this, like that. Pendulum swinging all over the place. Every morning that I wake up, I have a headache when I see the polls, because it wasn't showing that Kamala got this in the bag at all.
No, it was. There were political pundits who projected that Trump was going to win. I mean, on CNN everywhere. So I mean, I don't know why.
So there was nothing. There was nothing there. I mean,
but Musa, I like the other line into when he said, he said there were Gambians in Mauritania. I want you to listen to this very carefully. He says they were being harassed and government was really concerned. They sent a high powerful delegation there to ensure that because they don't have documents. Now, Musa, the question is issuing a national ID, how the government authenticate those individuals are actually Gambians? Doctor said that's an operational issue. We need to talk to immigration. That raises eyebrows for me as well. And now I just like to, I will text him and I'll say that definitely I would like to hear that more and provide it, because if someone is claiming he doesn't have any Gambian, that he or she is claiming doesn't have any Gambian documents, they are harassing them. How in the world did government go out there to say, you guys are Gambians, we're going to issue you guys ID cards? That I am still struggling with that answer, Musa. Definitely. Did you hear that? No. Musa, did you hear what I said?
No, Bilal, we're trying to get Marr. I think Momtami, he's having the same problem that doctor had with this. I don't know what the hell that is.
Well, maybe let him use his phone.
I mean,
Boy Fatty said we are gossiping behind our chest. No, doctor is my brother. That is, we do this. We're doing a post analysis. You know, those are answers that I'm struggling with. The Baribunka guy is struggling with that stuff. Boy, maybe you have an answer. I don't know. What is the criteria? If they've been harassed and now government went out there and issued them, what is the documentation that they provided? You know? Yeah. No, these people. Yasin, he says MPP all the way beyond 2027. No, Ibrahim, I love you, my brother, man. You crack me up, I'm telling you. Oh, simple majority, huh? Okay. Hey, if that's the case, let's do it. Let's do it. But yeah, it was overall, it was a good show, and but I think these folks needs to be conditionally released, unconditionally released, and go about their way. I think if we're gonna nurture peace and peaceful coexistence, I really think we have to be fair in executing and enforcing the law. I think it's very important. You know, it doesn't benefit anyone. Every now. Yesterday they issued a protest. They went out and protest. There was absolutely no damage. They did their match. They say what they wanted to say, and they all went home in peace. And I think the IGP should be very cognizant of such aspect. You know, yeah, I think it's very important. Is Mark joining us, Musa?
Yeah, I asked him to use his phone, hopefully.
Okay.
You know, because somehow, like I said, the same problem that Doctor encountered. Okay.
Yes, there you go.
Is in, yeah. So, Marr, we apologize. It's been a rough Sunday.
Hello, assalamu alaikum, Musa, and how are you both doing?
We're doing good. We're doing
Mr.
good.
Nyang, how are you?
I'm doing well. Alhamdulillah, I can't complain.
Why, Marr? Gaine create a problem there. This pulling data that you put out a few days ago, the Yangal taught all the political class. Everybody is talking about it. and so that's why we decided and said, you know what? We have to bring Marr at least to explain this, because there are a lot of people. The scope, why is it done the way? I don't know whether you're listening to Doctor. He was even questioning, why was Talib included in the polling data? He did not say that he was going to be the presidential candidate. People are saying, well, this was not actually Cyprus doing the polling. This is like Gambia participates, Marr Nyang. And they're questioning Marr's motivation. I mean, they're doing everything. My question is, help us out. Can you walk us through how this whole thing, how did it come about, and what's the motivation before we even get into the data itself, Brother Marr?
Thank you, Sarah. I mean, these things are always expected. But let me just give a quick background. Perhaps this will a clarification of all the that are out there. So we had a project that started and in this project goes through and the data collection that we are doing on this project.
Can you increase the volume a little bit, Marr? Because it's not loud enough there. I'm gonna chimanla.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I was saying, so we had a project that started last year, 2024. And part of this project, we are supposed to do data collection.
Mm-hmm.
And that data collection that we were doing as election observers, we have keen interest on election-related issues. And we've been doing a lot of election work since we got established. So there are topical issues. And these topical issues, it is of interest to us to bring out the facts with the hope that it will guide the relevant authorities in their decision-making process. Mm-hmm. So we did 2 surveys at once, right?
Mm-hmm.
We did the one for elections, and then we did the one for corruption.
Mm-hmm.
And that will be coming out in no time. So as election observers, like I said, there has been a lot of things. The Afrobarometer survey that was published in January 2025 regarding who citizens want to see in office. So there are so many events that has taken place, right? And we have seen, obviously, increased demand for President Barrow not to run for third term, increased demand for shifting beyond two-party system, increased demand for also eagerness of young representatives. So we wanted to get facts on that. There has not been any survey that has been done regarding that. So place to collect those facts and put it out there, then us, Gambia, participate, and also giving it to Cyprus. I mean, two research organizations in the country, local by Gambian CRPD, Mati and partner, and Cyprus, Mr. and his from the University of Gambia. And working with these two. Research is not what we do. We don't have that expertise. We contract these two organizations to do research for us, and that has been the case. We've done a lot of what we call community on services, accessibility, affordability, and such. We've done this for NAWEC, done it for the Gambia. We've even done the Banjo project. We did also an order for electricity. So, and several orders that we have done. So this is not the first time we've been contracting these two organizations for us. So we don't have any control over the whole process. We contract organizations. We obviously we have an interest, we have a scope, we define that scope, right? And we give the questionnaire. We work it with the consultant. They look through the questionnaire, and then they are the enumerators and they deploy it, right? So we have no control over what is coming from the public. The consultants do the data collection. They look at the data, analyze the data, report the data. What they give us is what we publish. So I don't know what people are saying that this is Marr.
So the other thing that I'm hearing from them, very suspicious, and they make the insinuations. I'm going to feed for the people by the people. We call it as we see it. They're saying, as far as the funding is concerned, people are making insinuation that maybe the Taliban students of this world are behind this funding of it. They want the information to be out there. The other issue that they're saying, the timing is suspicious because clearly the United Democratic Party is going through their selection process for the flag bearer. So they're saying first, who is behind this funding? And secondly, the timing is problematic. What do you say to that?
Like I said, this whole project started last year. And when we started the data collection, like I said in the beginning, we are doing 2 data collection, right? I remember calling Cyprus. In fact, in our project document, we said Cyprus is going to do it, just like we will say CRPD is going to do it, right? So this started right after the Tobaski. Obviously, you know, the US had suspended a lot of funding, and this affected all the donors. So we could not do anything until the funding. You understand, right?
Yes, right.
Then there are so many donors that also benefit from the US fundings, and 95% of our funding comes from that government. So we started doing this after the funding was lifted. So data was, and there's, you know, when we called Cyprus, we did this. We have no idea what was happening at UDP. We had no idea.
Exactly. Or the timing of their selection.
That's none of our business, right?
Yeah.
Data was collected, and we, as civil society, we have what we call dissemination strategy, right? That we are asking is relevant now, not later. You understand, right? When we ask about leadership succession, that is the hot topic within the UDP.
Definitely.
You understand? So we need to bring in facts with the objective that what we are doing is, and this is not only for UDP. We ask about Barrow's Tartan bit, and whether you're going to vote for Barrow if he is to run for Tartan.
Exactly.
We also ask whether Dabos will run, and if he is to run, will you vote for him?
Exactly.
Ask whether a coalition. Remember, I said we were asking whether we wanted to know whether the citizens want to see a more younger leadership or they wanted to get rid of this two-party system, and that's why
Right.
in a coalition, the coalition question, we only put those members that are not part of these two parties.
Big parties, correct.
Adama Barrow, we could have put NPP, we could have put UDP, we could have put PDOIS.
Yeah.
But we want what the citizens are looking for. Do they want to get a new, coalition different from the others, or get
Exactly.
we want to know the citizens' perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we did. We asked those questions. Citizens shared their sentiments, analyzed by the consultants, and they reported. So it's just like today, the time people talking about the timing. Will it make sense if we have done a COVID-19 survey and then put it out now?
It wouldn't make no sense.
So there is relevance in terms of when you are disseminating your reports. You understand? You are disseminating at a time when decision making will be guided by facts. Decision making will be guided by the sentiments of the people. In fact, I think the political parties should thank us.
I think so.
We did the data and we send it to you for free. You will look at the data and see where you are doing well and where you're not doing well. Which
Absolutely.
are you doing it well and where you're not doing well? The gender and by location, geographical location. So that is for you to pick it up and then go say, look, this is the fact. And the most interesting thing is this early morning, after watching Sid Matijo on Verified, I asked him to send me the Afrobarometer survey that they did in that they published in January 2025.
Right.
I look at the data, I look at their data, and I look at ours, and there's just so much similarity.
The similarities.
Data don't lie. So it is just and it's okay, really. These things are okay because when you have a sentiment and you have a feeling and you get a wider feeling, all collective different part of the country, and you put that out, if it is not compatible with yours, obviously your feeling comes out. So these things, and we totally understand that.
Without a doubt. In as much as all you have to do is just listen to them. Their first reaction is to dismiss it. The second reaction is and what they need to focus on is the data itself and what it's saying. And this is Gambian citizens, like you said. I'm not surprised that
you are
sensationalizing. No, buddy.
No, but you gotta ask the question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's why you get in trouble, man. Just let the man answer.
Buddy.
So Nyang, Mr. Marr, thank you very much. Here's the question. I love my chief strategist, man. I'm telling you. So Marr, here's my question to you. Were you privy to the timing of UDP selection, or has any candidate sponsored or work with you or provide input to you to sponsor this survey?
We have not received any funding since we got established in May 2016 from any political party or a candidate. Political parties or candidates don't support Gambia perspective. If them lying, let a political party or any candidate comes out and they say, I have ever given a cent to Gambia participates. So let that be clear out there. Our survey questions is of interest to us. We define our own scope. The most interesting thing is, right? I know this is sensitive and it has gone national, but this is not the first time we are deciding our own questionnaire. We look at we look at hot issues. In 2020, when we were doing what we call community scorecard on accessibility of water services, we define our own, questionnaire. And then we called NOVEC, and we still have that report and put that out. And that data didn't lie because, for example, in places like Banjul, they said certain periods they will receive colorful water, right? When we presented this to NOVEC, NOVEC said these things happen sometimes when they are doing their maintenance, and they accepted that. So we make our recommendation that when you're doing maintenance, you should inform the people of Banjul ahead that when you open your tap, open it for about 2 minutes so all the dust can come out before they will consume that dirty water. They rejected some of our findings, which is fine. But that was the opinions of the people, their experiences. That's what they shared and their sentiments. But no one actually questioned who funded that. No one questioned why did you put that out. The Afrobarometer survey was also out. We've seen high rate of rejection. We just like this is normal. This is normal. But I'm telling you that no one influences our questionnaire. No one will have access. Let me tell you this. I personally don't have access to the database of CEPRAS. Right? CEPRAS will do their, CEPRAS is a reputable institution. CEPRAS, CRPD are one of the topmost research institutions in this country. And we have to acknowledge our own local expertise. There's no one that can do it better than these two organizations. So we don't have any access to their database. We know nothing what is going to happen. They are the one that trained our enumerators. They are the one that deployed. And this was a very stringent, research. We received some feedback. Some enumerators are saying, if it is going to be CEPRAS again, I'm not going to work with you guys. Because you know why? You send in your report. If you make a single mistake, let's say, for example, you forget to pin your GPS, showing that this is where CEPRAS would reject it in its entirety. So you have to go back to the drawing board. Just that the quality of the data is not compromised. We just sit here, we contract and they do the job and they give us a report. CEPRAS is here, they can tell me whether I said, oh, I'm not comfortable with this finding, you should remove it. I have no control over that. So to just answer your question, no political party, no candidate has ever given a cent to Gambia participate.
Okay. Thank you very much, Marr. And I think you kind of answered that question. I was gonna ask the hypothesis that was used in previous surveys that you were able to send, to citizens. What is that different from the one that you currently did, and some of the controls that are put in place to ensure that it is impartial and no one would question the results? And I think you kind of answered it, but if you could educate us on that one as well, that would be great.
Right. So I'm not sure whether you're also aware of the open budget survey. So you have two different types of surveys. You have the opinion polls, you have the fact-based research. Most of the time what we do is we do fact-based research. If you look at the open budget survey, I'm a budget research expert. I have been doing that for the International Budget Partnership for the past couple of years, right? We do our survey, send the question. When I submit mine, the government reviews and accept or disagree with what I have submitted. And you have an independent person that goes through what I submitted, agreed, and what was disagreed, and that referee will take a decision based on the fact that I've presented. I've been doing this also for the global integrity in the past, right? But these are fact-based where you have to also reference all your answers and back it with fact. These are opinion polls in this case, right? In the methodology, we made this very, very clear that these are opinion. This does not reflect in any way, shape, or form the views of Marr Nyang, or the views of Gambia Participate, or the views of CEPRAS. Right?
Thank you very much.
The views of the citizens. So the previous one that we have done, obviously, they have not been that I mean, and most of those were even done by Cyprus and CRPD. They are not that maybe perhaps sensitive as this one because there's so much emotions attached to elections, which we totally understand. But it's also our responsibility as civil society and election observers. When there are hot topical issues, we go get the facts and then put it out, scientific data, scientific evidence, and then put it out.
Thank you, Marr. And just by the way, for the viewers, Lamin Damfa of Cyprus has accepted. He's going to be here next Saturday, next Sunday, to kind of dilate on their processes and to talk about their methodology that they employ and all that stuff, just to kind of give folks the insight of it. But yeah, we appreciate your work and thank you very much. Faramos, over to you.
So Marr, let's get into the nitty-gritty, the data, and maybe you can help us. I mean, you're a political animal too. I mean, when the question was asked whether President Barrow should run for a third term, 55% was against his running. Mariangfa, or we lost Marr? Yeah, I think we've lost Marr. Yeah, I think we've lost Marr. So basically, when the question was asked whether the president should run for a third term, it looked like 55% they were against Barrow's running. And then the follow-up question was, will you support him if he runs? 60% will not vote for him. And my question to Marr is, how do you align that with when you go to the matchup? Marr, you're back. So the question is, 55% of the voters are basically saying President Barrow shouldn't run for a third term. And then 60% said they will actually vote against him. But when you put him against 3-4 potential presidential candidates, he still edges them by 31%. How do you, and then you have this 29% undecided. What do you read into that? What is it saying, really?
That's a very interesting question. And I think it's very important to make that clarification. So majority of the respondents, right, 55% are
right.
opposed to President Barrow's third-term bid.
Mm-hmm.
And the percentage for those that are not so is just 10%. So it is telling you, even if you were to add that 10% on those that said no, it's going to give you 45. The 55 will still prevail, will be the majority of the respondents who do not want President Barrow to run for a third term, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when asked as well, will you vote for him if he runs? Look at how interesting this data is, right?
Yes.
So majority are saying he should not run there, 55%, quite competitive with the yes, which is 35%. But now look at the question where it says, if he
runs,
you will see those that even say that he should run.
Right.
I'm not going to vote for him. Because others will say, well, it is his constitutional right. The constitution doesn't have limit, so he can run.
Right.
Runs? No, I'm not going to vote for him. So you will see
exactly.
that, right? And the undecided still a little bit more than those that said he should not run, 20%, right? Now, last question. When you put him with all the other candidates,
yes,
ask who stands the better chance of winning. So this question is not who are you going to vote for. It says who stands the better of winning.
Yes.
So okay. I want Musa Jeng to run. I support Musa Jeng, but if you ask me the current reality, who stands the better chance of winning is Barrow.
I could easily say that, which most Gambians do say, actually.
Exactly. And we had this in 2021. Well, I don't want to vote for Barrow, right? But comparing him with all the candidates, I think I should vote for him than giving it to other candidates that will not win the election.
Exactly.
And I think it's very important that we clarify there. Maybe, in the subsequent survey that we will do, and we're interested in doing another one the next year, we will ask this question when, like I said, polling, the timing really matters. We will wait until
It does.
surfaces, and then we put out that data ahead of the 2021 election. We look forward to doing it with Cyprus again.
So how do you interpret the 29% undecided? What's up with these folks? Are they just basically like we call James Senegal, watch hand? You know, they just and your watch hand. So who are these folks that are basically saying, I don't know, I'm undecided?
It was the case last year. I think like there are those that are party loyalists and those that do not have any party affiliation. They're just waiting for the right time. Some we don't ask that question, but we're just assuming. We are not asking them, why are you undecided? Right? The survey does not cover that. But if we are to just assume, maybe, and just maybe, it could be those that vote on issue base. It could be those that prefer, other candidates.
That was there.
That will be on the order, but it will be those that want to wait until election is imminent and they start deciding. You understand? There are those that have no interest of what is happening right now, but when it comes to election, they will get to vote and decide who they want to vote. Some just want to keep it to themselves, which is totally fine. But it's interesting because the trend has been continuing. The same thing was the case when Cyprus did their survey in 2023. There were a lot of undecided voters for Brikama, and those undecided changing the whole game, right?
Yeah.
And consistent as well with our survey. There's just huge number of undecided voters in Brikama and Kanifing.
Yeah. So if you're the government and you're looking at this data, I mean, I heard Dr. Ceesay saying that they have their own data and basically saying that the president is going to win. But if they're looking at this 29% undecided, what's that tell them? Because these are people that really know the government and they've been around. I mean, they've seen their policies, they've seen their highways, they've seen what they have done or not done for that matter. So do you think these can still be potential ballot voters?
Maybe it will depend on the type of candidates. Obviously that will be contesting because we don't know the candidates that will be accepted by the IEC during the nomination.
Correct.
Right? Those ones that we have here, they are subject to the IEC accepting their nomination. So I don't think that 29% with either President Barrow or any of the candidates, right? If it decided during the time of the survey, they would have given their vote to their candidates.
Definitely.
I don't know what's in their mind. I don't know what they are thinking. The survey don't know what they are thinking or what decision they're going to make. But it is, if you are answering your question, if I was in government and I see this 20% of undecided voters, I would say not those that are likely going to vote for me.
Yeah.
Because if they are satisfied with my policies, my development, right,
they would have
shown their support without hesitation.
Definitely. Right? Definitely.
So the data is showing you that they are not my folks with us. So it's a red flag. It's also showing that the government is not being popular because remember, in 2021 they received 53%
of the votes. Yeah.
The CRPD report, the Afrobarometer that was done by CRPD in January, their sample size obviously was 1,200. Ours is 1,556. In their report, Barrow's popularity, or those who said if election were to be held tomorrow, they were going to vote for Barrow. It was 27%.
Yeah.
Because
31%.
Our sample size is a little bit bigger. So CRPD said 27%. Ours says 31%. So it is within that area. So if you've lost over 20%,
definitely,
of those that voted for you in 2021, so it is a red flag. And if I was Barrow and I see this data, I would not run for third term, because it's clearly showing that majority of Gambians don't want me to run for third term.
yeah.
And that was the reason why, you know, we wanted to get the facts. That was the reason why we also asked whether a coalition,
Yes,
can actually win the 2026 election. Majority actually said yes to that
exactly,
question,
exactly.
right?
Which is
Go ahead.
I said, which is a hell of that's a hell of an information for the opposition as well, to understand that what it's really going to take to defeat the incumbent if we're really serious about winning. But I'll let my man come up before he accuses me of sensationalism and getting excited. Brother Marr.
No, you're political joking for real, man. I'm telling you. So my listening to you, the 31%, and I'm not even focused on the potentials that you asked about their candidacy, but between 31% for Barrow and the 29% undecided. So I think that kind of split right in the middle, that the country where we at as a country, irrespective of those that were mentioned. Because if I see that, it's, margin of error, 2%, 29, 29 and 31.
27 and 31.
Yes, absolutely. And I think caution should be drawn to both, even for the opposition. I mean, this whole complacency should not be anything, because these voters are out there. They haven't declared their support. Yes, Musa said, with all the development and being incumbent for 8 years, but despite, if you look at the margin, it kind of split in between, considering the margin of error. But how was the question frame, to drive at that percentage in terms of undecided? And some people will say the silent majority. There are people out there who are looking for home. They look at the behavior of political parties. They look at the utterances. At the end of the day, they're sitting out there and waiting who they will ultimately align themselves with. But how is the question, very interesting, how is the question framed that you had such a split in the middle?
Well, so the question was, who do you believe currently stands the better chance in the 2026 presidential election? Right. And this we are translated in local languages for the respondents to understand this question. And the most interesting thing was, when we were doing this training of the enumerator, we had to make sure we practice and get the right interpretation of this question in different languages. Okay. Right? We did it in Mandinka, in Wolof, Aku, in Manjawa, in Kula, and in Jola.
Musa, go mute.
Sorry. Sorry, bro. Sorry.
So that the respondents understand the question. So when it was asked, who do you believe stands the better chance of winning the 2026 election? Right? Obviously, the data shows that 29% were undecided. Right? 3% said others. And we received this question: why do you only put Aaron Barrow, Talib Bensouda, Hussein Dabo, Esam Baifa, and Mama Kande? Right? We had a component for order. So if you receive less than that 3%, we put you on the order. So you have other candidates being mentioned, right? We had Bakar Bagi, even some will mention candidates that we don't know yet. Right, so we put them on the order, but the undecided voters, goes all the way to 29%, very close to what Barrow actually had, which is the 31%. So people also ask, why do you have to put tally there? So this is different from the question we have is different from that of CRPD. CRPD's question in January 2025 was asking for a party. If there was going to be election, we need to also look at these issues. If there was to be an election tomorrow, which party would you vote for? So it was on party lines. We were looking at individual lines, right? So that's why we put the candidates out there. It's an open-ended question, and then people answer those. I hope that answers.
No, that answered the question, because there was a question, why did you put tally? But it is the respondents though picking and saying this is that answered the question. So yeah, definitely. Thank you for bringing that. Now, not per se, that you picked Talib as an potential presidential candidate, and instead it was the respondents who and you tally those numbers that aggregates to that total. So which is totally understandable. So I get it. So Marr, looking at that data, what would you have?
Maybe a clarification. We obviously put these individuals there.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, you did put them there.
We did put it there because remember in my intro I said we were curious whether the citizens want a new generation of leadership.
Oh, okay.
Right, and that's why even in the UDP, their succession line, right, most of the ones that we put there are the young people. You understand? So we did not only limit it to Yankuba Dabo or Rahim Malik Law or Tariq Bensouda. We also put order, right? So I just wanted to make that clarification.
Okay, good. But you miss the Kianka guy, Lamin Sane. You didn't put Lamin, or is he on the order category or?
Order in the report that we received, the metadata, we obviously went through it. We saw Lamin Sane,
landing also,
landing Sane, and several other individual candidates, but none of them come closer to the percentage that Yankuba Dabo, Rahim Malik Law, or Talib.
Fair enough, because there was questions saying that why didn't yeah, so that really makes sense.
Sarian Balal Marek, I just want him to clarify this point.
Yes.
So these individuals were also mentioned, but they did not gather enough votes, so you put them on the order, right?
Enough threshold. Yeah,
they were mentioned in responses.
Exactly. Okay.
So if it's an open-ended question, you list, right, and if none of them were to, or should I say, if the respondents are not interested in all of those, they will mention, oh, I prefer Landing Sane, or I prefer Mr. Musa Jeng or Saring Marom.
But they were listed though.
In the questionnaire, no, they were not listed. So we mentioned the ones, for example, we all know Yankuba Dabo, Talib Bensouda, Malik Law.
Rahim Malik Law, right.
They are the ones topping the conversation. However, we are not going to limit it to those three. That's why we put order 5.
Correct. I got you.
So it was an open-ended question. So you asked who would be the young potential generation successful.
However it was framed, yeah.
Yes, however it was framed. So we get it. Yeah. Musa, you interrupted, so I even forgot my question. Now go ahead.
Okay. So obviously, the NPP folks, we have Ibrahim Asila trolling us. Doctor was going through some kamikaze. And on one hand, they want to say we respect suppress, but clearly they don't like the information that is coming out. But you know what? There is another camp that don't really like the information that came out. And this is the UDP camp supporting Alhaji Ousainou Numukunda Dabo. Him also, 58% they're against Dabo's running. And not only that, 63% said they will not vote for him if he runs. Only 28% said he should run. What is that information telling us? And when he was put head to head with Talib and Dabo, and Barrow, he only gets 12%. I mean, how do you interpret that information? What do you think? I mean, what is it really telling us?
Hold on, please.
Trolling behind.
Okay. All right. Hello. Sorry.
Yeah.
I got scared. I was alone in the office, so I thought someone else was coming for me.
So you're like, what the hell is going on?
No one has access to my office. Is digitally controlled, so I'm surprised this time. It was just one of my staff. But
Baru
yeah,
nga foog ne gay boroye la jël si gay UDP.
like
Either one of them. ñoom tuntu dafe.
but
Anyway.
the data is telling us. This is where we've seen obvious rejection of UDP and NPP, but the data is telling us there could be a potential UDP government.
Yes.
Depending on whoever they choose, that's none of my business. That's none of our business. The data is that you have the potentials of actually forming a government. You understand? So
yeah.
If I was in NPP, if I was President Barrow, I mean, this is going to be a special message. I'm now speaking not as an analyst, but as an activist, and maybe give advice that his advisor might not give him. If I look at this, you understand, and see high resistance, high rate of opposition, especially from within the youth folks.
Exactly.
Election, and then see this, number of undecided. I will do myself a favor and just start working on my life after office. There is a beautiful after office. It's none of my business whether he's going to run or whether he's not going to run. But if I was in his position, right, I will. This is a red flag. I will look into it and then make strategic decision. Right. I don't think presidents should allow people to keep telling them no. If you have to touch, ni dañoy fen rek waxu ñu dega digone fa legi. Sen interest mo sin nekas sen yo nga nek sen place nga tok ci tour sen interest mo sin because most of them, if President Barrow is out of office, their career is dead.
Exactly. So
Barrow must know that he has a beautiful career after office. And why am I saying this? Because we've seen African presidents that serve just one term, like Goodluck Jonathan.
Yeah.
He is the face of presidential advisors and mediators.
Yeah.
Right? He was also doing the same thing. That was right after I think he was voted out of office. He came. So to Janneh, he overstayed, and now he's lonely in Equatorial Guinea. If Barrow continues, he might also be lonely somewhere else, just like Macky Sall is doing right now. We don't pray for that. We want our president to leave office and then stay and live with us in this country. That's what we want. But it is their call to make, not my call. Our role is to collect facts, and that's what we have done. It's free data. People should be thankful to us. Politicians should be thankful to us, not to come and insult us. We're giving you free data, for God's sake.
So what would be your advice to the UDP too as well, just like you gave the president? Or would you, based on the data that we're looking at?
The data is showing that, I think one of the limitations that we have in our research was we did not ask, what is your party affiliation when they're, then you will have known what percentage of the respondents are UDP, NPP, or other.
NPP. Correct.
That was one of the limitations. So my advice to the UDP, I mean, the data is clear. We should not approach this with anger. The data is not actually going to validate your feelings or feelings. It's actually just going to bring in the facts there. And it is for you to use those facts and make or inform your decision making. I think they have a potential of forming a candidate in a report. Whether that is going to run or not, it shows that he still commands a good number of support. So he's not an underdog. He's in fact a strong contender, right? But he, should I say the elderly politicians, they are facing high rate of rejection, and that's also of the vote population is very youthful. You know, majority of them are actually youth. But if I was just like I told or I advised President Barry, if I was Ousainou Darboe, I would look into the data and make the decision making, you know, more strategic. Like I said, it's a free data. So I think they have the potential of forming a government. How they go about it, it has.
So Marr, obviously there's the Talib camp that is getting excited. But if you drill down to the numbers too, I mean, he has a huge challenge. He has an emerging youth leader, but he's only, when you put them head to head, 18%, 29% undecided, even though 50% said they will support his candidacy. But still, when everything is said and done, it's only 18% that are willing to say, I'll vote for him. Doesn't that also signal that, you know what? Okay, you're emerging, but you still got some problems.
Right. So it still goes back to the question, right? So respondents, they don't know what Talib is going to do. We all don't know what he's going to do. It asks who stands the better chance of winning.
Right.
Right. So, but the fact that he's not even a presidential candidate and he scores a 10, there is a cause for alarm. That is a red flag. Like someone else that is not contending, as we all know, at least we don't know what Talib is going to do, but 18% of the respondents are saying he stands a better chance. And then for those that were, when we asked, or should I say, when we asked the respondents, right, whether Talib should run for office, party, more than half of the respondents said yes. But is he going to run or is he not going to run? That they don't know. We don't know. Correct. But I think if I was in his position, if I was in the UDP, it tells me I can actually form a government, right? Put that 12% of the 18% together, you get a president.
Yeah, especially when you say, I mean, the two principles in our politics of today, and that is President Barrow and and Alhaji Ousainou, basically 60% is saying they will not vote for him, or 55%, 58% doesn't want Mr. Darboe to run, 59% they don't want Barrow to run, 50% want Talib to run. I mean, that says a lot, really. I mean, that is absolutely tells you where the storyline is. But what the hell do I know? What do you say?
That's what the data is showing, that the elderly politicians are facing high rate of rejection, right? And if it is up to between Barrow and Ousainou Darboe, we'll have to go and then we have to be realistic, right? We have to go and then collect the data. We don't know. Maybe there will be emerging politicians. We don't know. But currently facing high rate of rejection, right? And we have to be mindful that what they call the Gen Zs, most of them are going to be first-time voters.
Correct.
Right? So they might likely even go for a more younger candidate. They might prefer that, someone else that understand, that will be in the middle of the Gen Z generation and then the elderly one.
The elderly, yeah.
So what the data is showing is high rate of rejection for both President Barrow and Ousainou Darboe.
Brother Marong, so I'm sure we're getting very close to...
we're getting very close, and we forgot about the ads twice in a row, and we got to do that.
I'm gonna tell you, Mom, I'm handicapped. You know how that goes.
But I also want to talk about our event here, September 6th. So, but So, Marr, I think that was important. I was gonna ask you, if you guys have a percentage of, you know, the communities that you guys go to, or also the generation divide and also the gender, you know, if those were questioned, and if you guys have data as far as, you know, what goes in, because I'll tell you what, even the one that you just mentioned, Gen Zs, these guys are, you know, this generation are very, very liberal, very open-minded, and they tend to not to care about, you know, some of the negative connotations that we talk about every day. They want someone who is out there, who is very polished, and you know, who can relate to them. It would be very, very interesting to kind of have a snapshot of that data if you guys have that.
Yes, we do. If you look at the question where we is whether President Barroso will run, if President Barroso runs in the 2026 vote for him, you will see between the age group of 10 to 30, let's say 44, there's a high rate of rejection. In fact, it is higher between 25 and 34. 19% said he should not run. Those between 25 years to 34 years. Between 18 to 24, you have 7% that said he should not run. And the second high is actually between 35, the middle age group, right? 35 to 44, 14% said he should not run, right? But if you go all the way to about 55 to 55, that is where you were saying, obviously, which is obvious, those elderly generation are saying he should run. So between the ages of 45 to 54, you have 8% that said he should run, 7% that said 7% that said he should run, 8% that said he should not run. So you can see how tight that is. 55 and above, you see that 5% said he should run and 7% said he should not run. So he's receiving more support within the elderly generation than that of the younger generation. If you look at it if you look at the data at gender level, you will see he's receiving high rate of rejection of the male, which is 4%, compared to 21%.
21% female. Yeah.
And if you look at the case for Usain Davo, whether he's contested, you will also see that he's receiving the same range, right? Between 35, remember, between 25 and 34, received the highest rate of rejection for Barrow. And between this age as well, 25 and 34, 20% opposed Usain Davo's Tatam bid. And 18 to 24, 8% opposed his 2026 bid. And then also the same consistent data, the same as that of Barrow, between age of 35 and 34, 15% opposed Usain Davo's 2026, presidential right? But you will see that as you go forward between 45 to 54 is a bit competitive. Within that age group, 55 to 54, 5% he should run, 9% said he should not run. 55 above is even tighter. 7% said he should not run, 5% said he should run. And if you look at the gender dynamics, it's also very consistent. 38% opposed, just like that of Barrow. The highest was the male opposition. They rejected Barrow's high. The male group opposed Barrow's bid, and the same male group also were in opposition.
Thank you. Yeah, it's they always make this argument that. Did you guys ask the question where it says, you know, how important the 2026 elections is to those different demographics? Also, how are they motivated to vote for the 2026 election? I like to hear the dynamics on those ones as well. But was there any questions asked?
No.
Okay.
We didn't ask any question on that. We did not ask whether people are going to vote on issue based or whether they're going to vote or not. If they are not going to vote, why are they not voting? Or what will be the issues that they will look at when voting? And we also did not ask, right, if you don't want Barrow to run for that time, why is it that you don't want Barrow to?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
To stand for 2020. Why is it that you don't want him to run? If you want Talib to run, why is it that you want him to run? We didn't ask those. We don't have that.
Yeah. So
thank you, Marr, man. Thank you very much. That's my question. That's it.
Final question that we haven't covered. You guys basically went ahead and said, okay, coalition. And then you asked about a coalition, and they talked about a coalition between Talib, Mama Kande, and SFL. I mean, what was the information given? And also that it did indicate a certain percentage wanted Talib to lead that coalition as well. How was the question framed, and what was the response?
So we asked, like I said in my intro, we were interested to know whether beyond the two main parties, UDP and NPP, right? There were three parties running, one as a coalition, UDP as a party, NPP as a party, right? Very close coalition can break this two-party system. So that's why we put our question in that way. So people asking, oh, why is it that you're only limiting it to SFL, Mama Kande, and Talib? We're interested in certain data, and that's why we frame it that way. We asked whether a coalition, right, close-ended question. It was not an open-ended question.
Right.
Whether a coalition involving Talib Bensouda, SFL, and Mama Kande can potentially win the 2026 election. Half of the respondents said yes. So we also asked, okay, when we were working on this, we said, okay, so if this coalition can actually win this election, who do you think should lead this coalition? Because it doesn't make any sense for us to ask this question,
right?
Knowing who the public prefer to lead the coalition. Right. That also matters.
Of course it does.
That's why we put that question, and you will see majority of the respondents, 38, went to Talib, but I will use the word of Damfa. It's not an outright acceptance for Talib as well. You have 33% that say they don't know.
33% said they don't even know.
Yeah. Right?
Exactly.
So you have SFL and Mama Kande pretty much closer, right? 12% for ESA, 14% for Mama Kande, 3% for order. So here, in this order, right, you have orders that they're also referring to.
Right. Marr, thank you very much. We can set now wait. People can, like you just said, political parties can use this information free of charge. Here in the US, political parties spend millions just to collect data like this, their own in-house polling. And here you are giving them that. And they can use it for what it's worth, or they can have all this emotional, orgasmic reaction all over the thing. And it doesn't change it. I mean, data is definitely stubborn. And again, we thank you for the good job that you do, Marr.
Thank you, Musa.
Thank you, Marr. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wish I can change the data, but I can't, so I'm sorry.
No, you can't change it. It's from folks that have strong opinions of the direction of the country. So we have to respect that, whether it sways one way or the other. People depend on data.
That people will call and they say thank you. We didn't receive those thank you, but we are grateful.
But I'm gonna say thank you, Marr. We appreciate your work. On behalf of the people, by the people, and on behalf of the Baribunka guy, he's saying thank you.
But
I know there's some meltdown, but you know what? You know, that's part of democracy. You know, everything, if it's all what you desire, then we're not gonna have campaigns. We're not gonna have strategies, policies. So You know what?
Mm.
I think you need to turn it to a notch. I mean, I love it. I definitely love it. I watch every meltdown, every conversation, the Trumpism of your polling data, you know, whether it's rigged.
I like that. The Trumpism of the polling data.
Yeah. I love it. I love it, man. So keep doing what you're doing, man.
Marr Sariang, Mane, this is my last word. What the polling data has done for me, it reaffirmed the anecdotal data that is out there that I believed in. I am not the least surprised that information like this is seeping out. So for me, that is why I absolutely not embrace it. I think these numbers, that's what we're hearing from Gambians. That is the truth. We can slice and dice it all we want. And yes, a year, 6 months is a lifetime in politics. The scenario could be different and the whole thing, the dynamics would change. Lulumom, I truly believe that. But again, it doesn't undercut the utility of the information as it is today. Now, thank you to Gambia Participates and thank you to Separate.
Yeah,
we appreciate you, my brother. Thank you very much, man. Yes.
Thank you.
Brother Maram,
yes,
we
sir.
Call it a day. It was a challenging one.
Yeah, but Musa, you know, twice I forgot to make an announcement for New World International.
What's up? New World.
Yeah, we got an event September 6th, and is in collaboration with Washington State Department of Ecology. Okay, the sponsorship is doing through Climate Change Act. Those are the main sponsors of this. And we got few speakers lined up, including Sekou Kamara, a motivational speaker, the Gambian living in the East Coast. He's gonna be joining us.
Yeah,
Dr. Matthias Greywood will be a part of the guest speakers. Dr. Mariam Bayo is going to be there. Surahata Sumare, who lives here locally, also is going to be out there. They're going to talk about the 6 criteria for pollutants set forth by environmental agency. You know, as you know, is the ozone, carbon monoxide, nitrate oxide, and ways how we could too, maybe driving less, maintaining vehicles when you gas up, or leaving the vehicle idle for a long time. That carbon dioxide that comes from the exhaust, it pollutes the air. So very engaging. We have Pabobo Jobate, who's going to be down there. Then we engage the Senegalese community will be here, and also the Ghanaian community, Afghan, Iraqi refugee communities, Gambian communities. So anyone who wants to join us, I send a special invitation to Pata PJ. He hasn't responded, but no issue there, But yeah, we're encouraging everyone who can make it out here in 2 weeks. It would be a great time, Musa. I mean, it has a cultural context to it. The main thing about this is this fits into environmental justice, because there are people who are poor, and because of the housing situation or rent, they live in areas whereby there's pollution. But because despite they're exposed to these hazards, there's no way out, because that is the affordable housing they can produce. So it's a very, very good dialogue that we're going to have, and we look forward to it. We will have representatives, from the Washington State to be part of the conference. There's going to be plenty of food. And Janneh she said, you know what? I'll take care of this. This will be, the menu is marvelous, as Prom said. And he always said, believe me, we got a good menu lined up, and it's absolutely free of charge. We're gonna give out air purifiers free of charge. We're gonna, in fact, students who comes to that program will have free backpacks, stationaries, and a lot more to offer, Father Moss.
Oh, wow.
So it's a way, free groceries to the communities, free groceries to the community. Father Moss, we gotta build our community. We gotta shape our community.
I'm thinking about flying to Vancouver to witness this. I'm thinking about it, especially when you mentioned Jainaba is cooking.
She said, I'm not gonna disappoint. I will lay out the menu. and the sisters had a plan. So they're gonna execute. She got her
I
own
believe
plan.
it. I believe it.
And I'm telling you, you know.
Getting her
So,
expertise from Kiri Aisha.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
Brother Marong, another Sunday. All right, bro. And I'm gonna now go and fight. I'm gonna now go and fight with Xfinity. I am so mad today.
I love
They messed me up.
I love Marr. I love Dr. Ceesay. Thank you.
Yes, doctor did his thing, you know.
All right, man.
All right, bro. All right, hey, Bus, behind the scenes, you can lock this thing down, bro. Thank you for saving us. Thank you, Bus.